Good evening. The regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council is called to order on Monday, June 10, 2019 at 7:01 p.m. Back to open session. We are reconvening from the closed session, and there are no reportable action taken at the closed session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dutton,
Here.
Councilmember Hamada,
Here.
Councilmember Coops,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Here.
Mayor Santenaz.
Here. Tonight's invocation will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Juan Garza, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Director of Economic Development, Jim De La Longa. Please rise.
Will you please bow your head? Heavenly Father, we are thankful for so many things as we gather this evening. For friends, for renewed optimism, and for the cooperation we see in the city as we work together to improve the quality of life for all. As we begin this meeting, we ask that you guide our thoughts and our actions so that we may have a successful meeting, so that we may accomplish our goals here tonight on behalf of our residents, our businesses, and our community. We ask that you please be with the men and women in uniform in our community and abroad who bravely serve our city and our nation every single day to maintain our peace and our freedom, and that you cover them with your protection. We pray these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Please place your right hand over your heart and join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you, Jim. Let me start with the announcement for this evening. This summer, enjoy 8 weeks of city special events, alternating between Friday Night Flicks and Summer Street Fest. The first Friday Night Flicks will take place on Friday, June 21st at the Town Center Plaza, located on 16521 Aidenmore Avenue. All of these events, including the Night Flicks and the Summer Street Fest, will begin at 6:30 p.m. and entrance is always free. If you have any questions or want further information, please call 562-804-1424, extension 2261, or visit our website, bellflower.org. Click the Departments tab. At the top, select the Parks and Recreation option, and then click on the Parks and Recreation Summer 2019 brochure to see event details. Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Business mentoring and workshops will be held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at Bellflower City Hall by the nonprofit SCORE. SCORE mentors are available at no cost to assist new and established businesses. Available appointment times will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. To book an appointment, please contact Ms. Jane Ramirez at area code 562-804-1420, extension 2010, or you may contact the SCORE office at area code 714-550-7369. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Juan. Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say beware of social media, telephone, text message, U.S. mail, and email phishing scams that are targeting EBT card holders. Do not fall victim to it. If you suspect that you have been a victim of the scam, please call the DPSS, that's the Department of Public Social Services, and their customer service call center is 866-613-3777. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Raymond. Councilmember Ray Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. You are all invited to join the American Cancer Society for a 2-day, 24-hour relay event to raise awareness and funding to fight cancer. The Relay for Life, Tri-Cities in Bellflower. The event will be taking place on Saturday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. at the Ron Yari Stadium located at 15301 McNabb Avenue. That is the Bellflower High School big football stadium. If you have any questions or want more information, please reach out to the event contact, Nancy Gutzmer, at 562-448-5919. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ray. Councilmember Dan Coops.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got kind of an interesting announcements to make here because you're invited to come and join our Living with Coyotes informational session, which is next Monday, June 17th. Keep a straight face out. So. And that's from 7 to 8:30. It's going to be conducted by Dr. Nim Quinn, who's a research biologist, and going to educate us and advise our residents on the realities of coyotes who live and travel within our neighborhoods. If you plan to come and bring your questions, there's limited seating, and it'll be available, so please RSVP to the Public Safety Department by June 13. This is on the 17th, so you got 4 days prior to that to tell you're going to come. And the number to call is 562-925-0124. Thanks to Mr. Mayor about coyotes.
Thank you, Dan. I'm sure the Coyotes would thank you too.
All right.
Tonight we have two special presentations. The first one is the National Safety Month, and to receive the presentation is Diana Boyd from the American Red Cross. And the second presentation is in recognition of the National Garden Week. And to receive the proclamation is the president of the Bellflower Garden Club, Ingeborg Witten. I'd like to invite Diana first and my fellow council members to the riser. All right. So as Dan would like me to do, I'd like to read the whole proclamation. Every word. No, I'm just kidding. I'll just read the highlights of this proclamation. The City of Bellflower proclaims June as the National Safety Month. And it's quite interesting to know that more than 26 million Americans suffer disabling injuries, with 10,530 unintentional injury deaths occurring in the state of California alone. So that's a lot of deaths, a lot of injuries. So we're trying to raise awareness in terms of national safety for the month of June. So now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Sunny R. Santa Ynez, Mayor of the City of Bellflower, proclaim June as National Safety Month and encourage all employees and citizens to participate in raising their awareness in the practice of safe and healthy behaviors in all aspects of their lives. Signed, Mayor Sunny R. Santa Ynez, Mayor Pro Tem Juan Garza, Councilmember Ray Dundon, Councilmember Raymond Hamada, and Councilmember Dan Coops. So, on behalf of the city, I'd like to present this proclamation to you.
Thank you very much for this proclamation. My name again is Diana Boyd, and I'm from the American Red Cross. A little bit about the Red Cross. Our mission is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. Here in the United States, every 2 seconds, there's someone who's in need for blood. And with every donation, you actually help save up to 3 lives. And the City of Bellflower will be hosting a blood drive on Thursday, July 25th from 10:30 to 4:30 upstairs in the green room. And all are welcome to come and donate. To sign up, it's very simple. They can sign up online at our website at redcrossblood.org, sponsor code COB for City of Bellflower. And as a special thank you, all donors will be entered into a raffle for 2 tickets to Knott's Berry Farm. So we hope all of you can participate, and thank you again for the proclamation.
Okay.
Mayor.
Thank you so much, and good luck on your blood drive. Okay, thank you. You got a pen? Okay. Thanks, Diana. Oh, picture. All right, very good. I just want to make sure. Okay, the next proclamation is the National Garden Week proclamation. And the City of Bellflower proclaims this week as the National Garden Week. So, Ingeborg, is Kay Earn still active with the
No.
Garden Club? Not anymore, okay.
No.
I used to be a member of your club.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to come back when I have time.
Yeah, okay.
All right. I'd like to just mention a couple of items here. Um, Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resource of the earth through to the planting of seeds and care of plants in the richest of their efforts. Gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. Now, therefore, it be resolved that in an effort to acknowledge the importance of gardening and the numerous contributions of gardeners like you, the City of Bellflower designates the week of June the 2nd to the 8th, 2019 as National Garden Week. Signed, Mayor Sunny R. Santa Ynez, Mayor Pro Tem Juan Garza, Councilmember Ray Dundon, Councilmember Raymond Hamada, and Councilmember Dan Coops. So I'd like to present this proclamation to you on behalf of the city. So would you like to say?
Yeah, the only problem is trying to get speakers to come because we're nonprofit. We have no fees, no nothing, except for, agenda. But I've been really lucky and fortunate. I always go to different seminars, so I get my feet wet, and I guess go to different places, and they always seem to, yeah, I can come. The one that I liked the best was a nature center guy from the nature center, native plant guy. Oh my gosh, he was so good. Everybody really enjoyed him. And then there was another guy that came, and he was from the WD department from downtown Los Angeles, which showed how Mulholland, how he did all the watering things. Anyways, I don't want to keep you too long, but I really enjoyed it. It's kind of stressful once in a while because I got to get my ducks lined up all in a row and everything, but I've really enjoyed doing it.
So how many members do you have
Oh,
now?
about 10, most 15, 10.
Okay. And
the
do you still
most.
meet on the second Tuesday of the month?
Yeah, just
Okay,
like my
I still
flyer.
remember.
Yeah.
Second Tuesday of the
Yeah,
month.
thank you
All
very
right,
much.
very good, okay.
Dankeschön.
All right, thank you.
Don't forget.
All right, Mr. Stewart, public comments, please.
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, chair, and state your name for the record. If you wish to address the city council on an agenda item, you may do so by approaching the podium as we review that particular item. You'll be given a reasonable amount of time to address the city council.
Okay, anyone who'd like to speak on a non-agenda item, please come up, sign in, and state your name for the record. Hi, Cheryl.
As you know, I'm Cheryl Williams, and I just want to let you know I took the Metro tour on June 1st that the city was advertising on your website, and I thank you for doing it because we had a ball. It was advertised 8 to 5, and it went almost that long, and my fiance and I were like, oh, God. It was wonderful, and so I'm really looking forward. We went on the Gold Line and the Expo line. They showed how at grade, different stations and raised grade, and we learned a lot. The Metro staff was very knowledgeable, had a great lunch. One issue kept coming up with everybody, there were about 20 of us on our tour, is public restrooms. And So I would like to recommend that the city of Bellflower make available a public restaurant room at our station here, because you will make big brownie points with every rider on that line. We had to wait until after lunch. We had to walk a couple blocks to Whole Foods, and it was a problem. But other than that, I really want to thank you for letting it be known about the tour, and I hope more people took advantage of it.
Okay, thank you for coming, and we'll make sure we make note of that.
Please do. It
Sure.
really isn't.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, as
Sure.
she's signing in, I actually got to go on this past Saturday's tour on the 8th. And we had around a good 30 people, and I had the same experience she did. So I just, to those residents that took advantage of that opportunity, thank you for participating in that. So.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Josh Murray. I'm here on behalf of Clifton Brackenseek Library, 9945.
Good evening, Josh.
Good evening. Flower Street. I'd like to let you know that this Saturday, June 15th at 2 o'clock p.m., we are hosting a children's program, a marine biology themed program called Blue Submarine. See, touch, and explore animals and shells. Their live tide pool animals include sea stars, sea anemones, hermit crabs, sea urchins, sea slugs, and more. This program is registration required, and anybody interested, ages 4 and up, can register over at the library right next door. And again, I would like to encourage the community to come out for our lunch at the library program, and we're hosting that Mondays through Fridays, 12 o'clock. And that's for anybody 18 and younger to get a free lunch this summer.
So what are you serving?
It's school cafeteria style lunch.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you, Josh. Anyone else? Good evening. If you can just please sign in.
Fair enough. Got just a few issues. One of them would be the double parking that is just terrible in this city. I drive up and down Oak. I live on Oak, and people just stop willy-nilly, park their car in the middle of the street, and do their business, and go on down the road. I don't know if that's code enforcement or public safety that would hand out tickets to these people, but I've seen them drive around these cars, not stop, not sight, not do anything about it. Another issue I also have is for sale signs on private cars in the city. And I think that's against our municipal code, I believe. I mean, I could be wrong. Am I right, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Now, we have several, one in specific, a resident there on Oak Street in about the 9800 block. No, check that, 9600. This old boy's got about a half a dozen cars with for sale signs up and down Oak Street. Ticket on one of them. Now, there's got to be more that we can do than just cite this old boy, because he, in my opinion, runs his business out of his house doing that, because he's had quite a few cars. And theory would be to start citing them and towing them off. I think you'd get the point then. And my last question and or comment is the fine for illegal fireworks have been moved up to $2,000 from what I read. And I would like to do something like the city of Lakewood does, is put out signs around the city letting people know that the sign, or what the fine is, and illegal fireworks are not permitted in the city. I don't know whether it has a good effect, bad effect, or not. I would hope it would at least bring it to someone's mind, hey, you get caught, it's a $2,000 fine. So if we could do something like that, I'm thinking on some of just the major intersections coming and going out of the city would be great.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and express your concern. I think, is there something we can do with the fireworks stand? If we can put a signage about the fine, I think that's one area, right? Because it serves two purposes. It helps them also to generate more sales,
Yeah.
and they're located in more visible intersections. So we can
Right.
certainly look into that. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
that'd
then
be
my
fantastic.
question about the cars double park, are they just stopped or parked there for quite a period of time?
Doesn't matter whether they're stopped or parked, they should not be there to begin
No,
with.
I know. I'm just-
They're
I'm-
interfering.
What
or-
I'm saying here is, if
Mm-hmm.
it's really parked, then you can call it code enforcement.
Yeah, but this is parked at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. They're not here. I'm sorry. More than likely.
Okay.
It is, up and down Oak around, especially around the park there, between Clark and Bellflower.
Yeah, I'm just
Prevalent.
making a distinction between park and stop.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah,
if it's stop,
these
and
people
if you,
get
if you
out.
call code enforcement, then by the time they get there, it's gone. But if it's
and-
really parked, then you call code enforcement, most likely they can get a ticket.
Correct. Well, the other thing, it's a burr that's stuck in my saddle about code enforcement. Their theory is we can drive by and take a photo and mail them a ticket. Okay, whether you do it or not, I don't know.
No, they have to be cited by code enforcement.
My thought would be, it has a much greater effect on somebody seeing a ticket being put on a car, and it's just not the person driving the car, it's everybody else who sees it as well.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, moving along. Item 11A, Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration possible action and conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan and adopt Resolution 19-51, a resolution approving annual action plan for fiscal year 2019-2020, authorizing city manager to submit the annual action plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and authorizing the city manager to take all action necessary to implement the programs identified in the AAP. And I believe we have Catherine and Travis here to make the presentation to you.
Okay, Catherine and Travis, who's making the report? Okay.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, the city is holding a second public hearing to consider the 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan, which includes funding recommendations for its CDBG and home programs. Following public comments, City Council may consider approving the 2019-2020 Action Plan and adopting Resolution Number 1951, authorizing the city manager to submit the plan to HUD and implement it next fiscal year. For a brief overview, the action plan is essentially a budget that outlines the city's use of its CDBG and home funds during a given year. The city must submit a 2019-2020 action plan to HUD in order to receive these funds for vital services and improvements next fiscal year. The funds must be used to meet the city's 2015-2020 consolidated plan, which has the following goals: to increase and retain affordable housing in the city, create sustainable living environments, and encourage economic opportunity. And to meet these goals next fiscal year, staff on March 25th had initially presented its 2019-2020 home and CDBG funding recommendations during public hearing. Since then, those recommendations were incorporated into a draft action plan, which was made available for a 30-day public review and comment period. Staff did not receive any comments from the public. And tonight's public hearing is to review the action plan and its proposed CDBG and home programs before submitting it to HUD. So beginning with the CDBG program, the action plan lays a roadmap for CDBG programs which must benefit low and moderate income residents to improve economic development and help eliminate blight. CDBG can help finance public facilities, public services, economic development, acquisition, relocation, and technical assistance to nonprofits. Staff has prepared the estimated CDBG revenue that will support the program in 2019-2020. It includes the city's 2019-2020 allocation of approximately $977,000. It also includes program income, which comes from rent received from the city's kiosk program. And lastly, the city estimates a carryover of about $420,000, and the total estimated CDBG revenue next year is $1.4 million. Staff has budgeted the entirety towards multiple CDBG programs next year, and the first are fair housing services, which are required by HUD. The city has contracted with Fair Housing Foundation to provide services to at least 175 residents, along with trainings to an additional 500 participants. Fair Housing requested $18,000 for staff and operations costs next year. And up to 15% of CDBG may support nonprofit agencies that provide vital services to the community. Staff received and approved funding applications from Kingdom Cause's Good Soils program and the Bellflower Volunteer Center. Kingdom Cause's Good Soils requested $25,000 and will provide landscaping jobs to at least 40 hard-to-hire residents. The program also provides on-the-job training, certification programs, and job acquisition skills. The Bellflower Volunteer Center requested approximately $118,000 for staff and operations costs. And the center recruits and trains over 1,600 volunteers who serve over 20,000 hours to serve low and moderate income residents. And the center anticipates serving about 2,500 residents next fiscal year. CDBG also funds approximately 34% of code enforcement activities within low to moderate income areas, and their activities must address blight, help improve the condition of a neighborhood. The city budgeted approximately $283,000 to continue these activities next year. And the city also continues to budget debt service payments for its Section 108 loan. This loan was a 20-year, $7 million loan taken out in 2004 to support several capital improvements that removed blight within the downtown area and promoted economic development. Furthermore, up to 20% of CDBG may be used to support staff and consultant time, which is needed to manage this complex program. The city has budgeted $180,000. And lastly, staff will carry over $300,000 for the Coke Avenue Park project, and that's a carryover from this year to next year when construction is scheduled to begin. Next is the home program. The action plan details how the home funds will be spent, and they're typically meant to help retain and increase the city's affordable housing stock for low-income renters and owners. And eligible uses of these funds include housing rehabilitation, homeownership opportunities, and the development of affordable housing. Next fiscal year, the city will receive about $358,000 in home funds and will carry over about $860,000. Program income varies annually depending on the loan or interest payments received from past home loan recipients, and so staff is just using a nominal amount of $1,000 as a placeholder. For now, the total estimated revenue for home is expected to be about $1.2 million, and staff has budgeted the entire amount for programs next fiscal year. There's $250,000 funded for the home improvement program, and $80,000 of that amount is specifically set aside for mobile home improvement grants. The home improvement program provides loans or grants to qualified low-income homeowners who wish to make improvements to their home or to make any health and safety repairs. Staff is also recommending a budget of $150,000 for the first-time home buyers program. This is about $50,000 less than the previous year's budget due to the difficulty of qualifying applicants for this program, especially in this challenging housing market. However, staff has reallocated that $50,000 towards a community housing development organization project, which is also known as a CHODO. A CHODO has to be a nonprofit that will rehabilitate or build affordable housing or rentals for low-income residents. And so the total that we are budgeting towards a CHODO project or CHODO projects is $784,000. That actually includes a $363,000 carryover from this fiscal year. And staff has actively released a CHODO RFP in March and has already received 3 applications for projects thus far. And lastly, 10% of the city's annual allocation may be used for administration, and staff has budgeted $35,881 for that. So our recommendation tonight is to open the public hearing, take documentary and testimonial evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt resolution number 1951, authorizing the city manager to submit the action plan to HUD and implement all programs, or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. And that completes my presentation. Staff is available to take any questions.
Thank you, Catherine, for your report. Can you go back to the last slide? Okay, so for the home improvement program and first-time home buyers program, how many residents took advantage of this in the last year's funding?
2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So we received, we were able to fund 3 home improvement program loans.
3, okay.
And 1 home assistance program loan.
And what's the cap for the home improvement funds?
I'm sorry?
What's the cap?
About $50,000
Okay, so 50
per applicant,
per applicant. So we use one, but 150,
approximately, yes.
approximately 150.
Sometimes
And
it's
the-
a little bit less depending on the improvements that are being made.
Right, okay. And the first-time home buyers, how many took advantage of this program?
1 in
1.
17, 18.
So that's why we have carryover of 50 that was moved to Chodo.
Yes,
Okay. And the cap is 50,000 still?
yes,
Okay. And then for Chodo, you said that we have 3 applications already?
we do.
Are
We
they involving properties that are considered blight?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay, that's good. All right, good, thank you. Any question for Catherine or Travis?
Just a quick one. If-
Go ahead.
Yes, Catherine, thank you for the report. These entitlement funds, they're, again, just short of $1 million from the feds, and then the home funds, about $350.
Mhm.
Is there a formula, maybe for the benefit of the audience, is there a formula that how that number, comes forth, and, why is it that sum versus, more or less?
If there is
Something
a
simple.
formula, they don't let us know.
Okay, yeah.
It's often
that's-
a mystery, and the
yeah.
amount fluctuates from year to year, and so we can only take our best guess as to what it would be
All right.
until we receive the allocation amount.
Okay. In regards to the first-time home buyers, you said just 1.
In
And-
17, 18.
Yeah, in
yes.
17, 18. So I know there's probably plenty of people out there. Now, there's a process, of course, and they need to qualify still. So is it a very rigorous process? That's why there's only 1? Or is it, and that 1 did not use all the funds?
No.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting to is, there would appear to be more people out there, but just they can't qualify.
Right.
So what's the major hurdle that may be?
There are multiple hurdles. Part of it has to do on the part of the applicant who needs to have all his or her ducks in a row. He needs to have a lender who is willing to lend to a low-income resident. So that can often be a challenge in this really competitive housing market. Homes are also extremely expensive nowadays, and so this program, and these are HUD regulations, HUD only allows you to purchase, applicants to purchase a home within a certain amount. It has to be under that amount. And these are limits that are often set for the state or so. But as you all know, the LA County market is a lot more expensive than most regions of this state. And so that makes it a little tougher as well. And there are various other requirements that they have to meet, but those are the 2 largest hurdles.
Yeah. Last question, going to the Chodo, maybe just to showcase the last project, was that the Habitat for Humanity project?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that was a project that provided 6 brand new units to low-income families.
Yeah.
And it was just a great success. It's in the southwestern
Yeah.
corner
Yeah.
of the city, and
Yeah,
it's
some of us
doing
got
very
to
well.
work on it. I got to work on it.
Oh,
so,
okay, great.
yeah.
Great.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Catherine. And Travis.
Catherine, isn't the biggest hurdle is on the income of the applicant?
That too. That
Yeah,
too.
I think that's to me that's the most major hurdle, because you cannot make too much money that you don't qualify, and you cannot make too little because you cannot afford to buy a house.
Exactly. And so
So
that's
the sweet
yeah.
spot is very tiny. It's about 45,000, if I remember, something like
Yeah,
that.
so that finding that perfect balance is really challenging. It's almost like trying to find a diamond in the rough,
Mhm.
which is why we're trying to step away a little bit from that program by pulling $50,000 out of it and allocating it to Chodo. And we feel like a Chodo can, get a project going quickly and increase the affordable housing stock, which will also similarly help residents in the city.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Coops.
so we carried over $860,000 from the previous year is what our report, and you gave to us. Looking at page 3 of 56. Kind of midway in the. But anyway, Is that my understanding of this $1,200,000? We had $860,000 that was left unspent, and so we're carrying it over to the next year. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
And our goal is to distribute this money and make Bellflower better. That's the idea.
Absolutely. And so again, because of some of the hurdles we have in spending for the first-time home buyers program, we're trying to reallocate it to a CHOTO program because we know that there's a lot of interest from developers who want to create more housing developments. And so we feel like it would be a easier way and a better way to spend these monies down.
But we're
as
only
quickly
talking
as possible.
$50,000 was the reallocation,
Right.
which is not that significant. It's the right direction.
We're trying to take baby steps. We don't want to take away this program completely. We want to see what the numbers will be for HAP or the
Are these
first-time home buyers.
allocations that you've submitted, is there a percentage that we need to apply? Each one is a certain percentage of the total amount? So or do we create those amounts on our own?
Only for CHOTO, we are required to set aside 15% of the home allocation, which we have done far and above. But again, oftentimes 15% isn't going to cut it for a CHOTO project. You're going to have to add more. Oftentimes the CHOTOs need more to acquire the land, or as you know, construction is very expensive these days. And so we're trying to build up that pot as big as possible so that we can get a project going.
The project you mentioned, Habitat for Humanity, that was 2.5 years ago. I mean, so we have not had anything that significant in the last 2.5 years, correct?
Right, because since we've spent all the money on the Habitat project 2 years ago, we've only been able to accrue about $363,000 since then. And oftentimes it's pretty small for a project, and so we're building it up year by year. And we're not required by HUD to do a CHOTO project every single year, but with each year that passes, we have the ability to accrue and build up that pot so we can do a project.
Can you tell us what kind of CHOTO, you mentioned there are 3 possibilities at this point in time for the new CHOTO money. Can you share with us, without getting too succinct, as to what they are?
It's still going through the vetting process, so I'm not sure if we can share that project.
Have
in
they done
depth,
business with
but
us before, or are they new entities?
Yes, 2 of them have done business with us before. So we have experienced CHOTOs in line for these projects,
But you can see my concern is we have all this money coming in and we're carrying it over, then to my way of thinking, we're not giving it to the community in a way that's effective. Now, granted, we can't always qualify everyone because of their income or their situation on how they can qualify for a house. Well, then put that money where it can be used in such a way. We still have 53 trailer parks in this town, and we put 80,000 of that. Maybe we got to figure out some way to get more money in that area. But I'm concerned that we're just banking money and not letting the citizens use it. That's my concern. Do any of you guys share that viewpoint, or just keep building it up and hope for a better day?
Well, I don't think we're building. I think we're reducing the amount allocated for first-time home buyers, right?
Just by 50,000.
By 50,000.
By $50,000, but there really isn't any takers for that program because of the restrictions and the income levels. And I mean, we're offering something that no one's using.
Yeah, but I think I spoke with one family about these first-time home buyers, and I think they live in the west side of Bellflower, and they might qualify. And I think I forwarded the name to Jim a month or so ago, so they might qualify. So I at this point I just don't want to reduce it.
No, but
significantly.
Are we promoting this in such a way that people are aware of the possibilities, or do we have just a very few applicants, and from the few applicants we don't have that many that qualify? I mean, that's my concern.
Well, I think in answer to your question, I think we should do a better job in terms of promoting this.
So we have been actively promoting this, especially in the past year. So we've been actively promoting the home improvement program as well as the home buyers assistance program through our social media as well as our website. And in the next coming fiscal year, we plan to hand out the home improvement program brochures with every code enforcement notice that goes out to a violator in the neighborhood so that we can really get the word out.
Are you more concerned about the first-time home buyers program?
Well, because it's not being utilized.
Right.
And I think that we need to invite them. You know, if I were living in Bellflower and thought about having home ownership, and I knew that there was a program for first-time buyers, I'd probably need more than a social media site. I'd probably need an invite to City Hall to sit in the Bristol Auditorium and have somebody go over it with me and see if I qualify. But otherwise, you're just gonna put it on the
Right.
back burner and say, well, that's for somebody else. But I think we need to step it up a little bit and get the word out that, Bellflower's 68% non-owner occupied. I know there's a need out there for more homeowners. And we need to use this money to promote it in such a way that's effective. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
I understand. I think we should do a better job in terms of promoting this program. It's a good program.
It is, and
It
it's
is.
gone unused.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and the Habitat thing was wonderful. I was mayor 2.5 years ago
Yeah.
when we did that deal. You
But-
know, the volunteers went out there like Ray, and they worked their weekend, and then on Monday the real crew came back and redid all the stuff they did wrong.
right,
And it was
exactly.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think the biggest challenge is the income requirement. The window is so tiny.
Exactly, but
that
if
it's
you
hard to
expose more
qualify.
people to that window, at least you have a chance of using it.
Right.
You know.
So I think what I would like to ask staff is to do a much better job in terms of promoting this. And let's give it a try.
Can
All
I
right,
can I
Mayor Pro
recommend
Tem
just
Garza.
a couple of ideas
Sure.
in terms of I don't disagree with Mr. Coops. Maybe some opportunities for increased promotion would be maybe in our monthly newsletter. Maybe the way we did with the vacant parcels. Maybe in the Parks and Rec quarterly. Maybe put in something there. And also, I don't know if we were able to with CRNR, but I know we're able to put like inserts in the bills, and I know just about every resident and every
Every renter,
tenant,
yeah.
right, would get that. I'm just trying to think of ways of distributing it effectively. Just ideas.
Just stir a little interest.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
And just for scale, we do receive about 3 to 5 inquiries on the HAP program alone every single week. So we do get the word out.
Yeah. And, just on my personal perspective, I just hate to cut it at this point because I'm trying to promote it.
Yes.
Talking to a lot of people, and if we cut it, then they have tried to apply and they qualify, and there's no money, no more funds available. It's going to be
No, and
We're gonna look
and
bad.
I'm not proposing that we cut it as much as we try to use it more effectively. And let's see if we can do better in the next year or whatever
Yeah.
our time period is. And if it still doesn't have some enthusiasm for it, then maybe we ought to reallocate.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Because if you look at the numbers here, 150, that's only about 3 applicants.
Right, but you only got one.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get another one.
No, we had 3 people. You know, we're not looking for hundreds of people here. You know.
Hey, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Garza to open the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. Anyone who would like to speak on this item? It's a very important item. If you want to qualify for first-time home buyers, I wish I had this program. We had this program when I was looking for a house.
Move to close the public hearing. Oh, you got somebody here.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, take her.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name's Henry Leva, and just moved into the city of Bellflower.
Are you looking for a house?
I sure am.
There you go.
And so this
Okay.
is great news. Look forward. I know the income is usually one of the challenges because, like you said, you can't make too much and you can't buy too big.
And you cannot make too little that you cannot afford to buy a house. you know.
Exactly. So I do appreciate everything that's in this plan, especially economic development and eliminating blight and creating more of an opportunity. But looking at how many renters we have in the city, as I am right now, I think it would be a worthy effort to hold some workshops maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday. I think it's a great idea of what you said, Juan, about putting it in the bills that you receive. I support the plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? There a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garza, second by Councilmember Raymond Hamada to close the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. Okay, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Hey, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 19-51.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Garza to adopt Resolution 19-51. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Aye.
Mayor Santenaz.
Aye. We will rearrange the agenda for tonight. We will go ahead and skip 11B. And we're going to go ahead, and there are no ordinances or resolutions for consideration. There are no consideration items, and we're going to go ahead with the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Anyone would
would,
like to pull
yeah, staff would like to pull item F.
item F,
Yeah. 14F. It's-
14F?
Needs a little bit of work.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was mine.
But, oh,
Yeah.
well, we were gonna,
Yeah, you had probably some cleanup on that,
yeah,
yeah.
we had to do some cleanup.
I say it again.
Yeah,
So, all right.
Okay.
You'll take care of it.
Anyone
Going
else?
back for overhaul, huh?
Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from item 14B to the fact that I have a conflict due to an employer-client relationship.
14B, okay.
Yes, sir. And then I'd like to pull, I don't know if pull is the right word, but I'd like to, I'll pull 14E, but just 14E as an echo.
Okay, for discussion
For
or
discussion
separate
only.
vote?
No, for discussion only.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to just pull item 14H just for a quick question. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Councilmember Coops.
I have several consent calendar items I need to recuse myself from.
Okay, go ahead.
14F, because I have property at 9645 Cedar Street, which is in the,
Oh, we're gonna pull the item.
all right, well, we're done with that, okay.
Yeah.
That's gone. 14J, I've got property 9428 Main, which is too close to this park. 14N, have property too close to the park. And 14P, like Paul.
Okay.
So I will be out on J, N, and P.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Dunn, you know, pull any
No,
item?
no items,
No recusal?
no recusals.
Okay, wow. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Garza, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on 14E, I know that the consent calendar tends to be pretty lengthy. There's a lot of information in here, but this one item I thought the community would benefit from just hearing a little bit about an upcoming project that our public works staff is heading up that I think will further the identity and the brand of our city, and also just show a little bit of pride in what it is that Bellflower is. So I've asked staff to talk a little bit more about our upcoming bus shelters.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. So this item is actually phase 2 of our bus shelter improvements. The map here before you shows 40 bus shelter locations that would be undertaken as phase 2. Superimposed, you see yellow dots, those were phase 1, so there were 12 locations that were completed. And I'll just scroll through it. So again, phase 1 was 12 locations, phase 2 were slotted for 40 additional bus shelter locations that would pretty much blanket the city.
Great.
This again will be undertaken with federal FTA funds with a 20% match of Prop A. So there will be no general fund dollars expended for this project.
The same design standards you had previously, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if you've seen some of the bus shelters that we have throughout our city that we've gotten really good compliments on, we have them in select major corridors through our city, but now they're going to be distributed throughout. So again, it just furthers our brand, and I think it's a great project. So we're going from 12 and then adding 40 more, correct?
Correct, and this is what they look like. This was part of phase 1. So we're gonna add 40 of these additional bus shelters through town.
And then the cutout in between the benches, that's for ADA?
That's correct. That's for ADA compliance.
And then lastly, do we have any idea on the timing of the implementation of this phase?
As far as timing, Metro does have to get back to us since it is a federal project. We anticipate about a month or so, so we'll go ahead and put this out to bid. So based on the advertisement and then the award, we're looking to have hopefully a notice to proceed in September. It's a 3-month job, manufacture and then installation. So if those dates hold true, we're looking at January, February 2020 for completion.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that and that bit of information from staff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just a quick question. You mentioned there's a slide modification in the new set compared to the current set.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you talk about that?
Correct. The slight modification is the light source, the candle power, if you will. There is an LED light located in the shelter. I'll go green. It's about here in the current ones. So we're gonna extend it out, so we're gonna have 2 LED downlights in that skin to extend the throw.
So it's gonna be brighter.
It's gonna be brighter.
Okay, good. Any other question? All right, thank you. And on item 14H, just pull this. With due respect to the person, there's on the report. It says that this is regarding the installation of red curb on fronting 16419, and in the staff report says that there's one response in opposition of the proposed red curb. Can you just talk about the what's the opposition about?
That was the property to the immediate north, which would be largely the vehicles associated with that property would be the ones parking on that strip of curb that is proposed to be red.
Okay.
And there are, I believe it's 5 houses on the subject property with the residents trying to exit, and because Woodruff is a fast-moving street and it really is blocking the way, it was recommended that safety over trump, I guess, the preference of that other complaint.
Okay, so they're against that because of that reason.
That's correct. Site distance issue.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you. All right. Any other? Oh, no. All right.
Make a motion to approve the balance of the calendar.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Coops to approve the consent calendar. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Denton.
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada.
Aye.
Councilmember Coops.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Aye.
Mayor Santinas.
Aye. Okay, item 11B. Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration and possible action to conduct a public hearing to consider issuing 1 medical cannabis business permit for dispensary use.
Mr. Mayor, before we proceed, if you don't mind, I'd like to recuse myself out of item 11B due to the fact that I have a employer-client conflict relationship here.
Okay, let the record reflect that Mayor Pro Tem Garza is recusing himself on item 11B.
And while she gets situated, I'd like to say that Randy Stover will do the staff report for the city council.
Okay. Ms. Stover, good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, I'm bringing forward public hearing item 11B for consideration of issuing 1 medical cannabis business permit for a dispensary. On May 13th, consultants and staff received 3 applications for 1 vacant MCBP or medical cannabis business permit. This is a list of those applicants, and I will briefly review the applications that were vetted by a consultant, multiple consultants, and staff. The first, in no particular order, the first is Joint Forces LLC. The applicant estimates a September 2019 opening date. Projected tax revenues for 2019 to be $141,360 and to increase in 2020 to $424,030. The applicant agrees to pay liquidated damages and committed to contributing to a Bellflower charity or cause in the amount of 5% of their net revenue. The next application that we received was from CaliMed Group, Inc. The applicant estimates a soft opening of September 9th, 2019. They project tax revenues to the city for 2019 to be at $206,500 and an increase in 2020 to $288,750. The applicant also agreed to pay liquidated damages in the amount of $573.61 per day. And the third application was from EEL Holdings. This applicant currently has 2 MCBPs for manufacturing and dispensary at another approved location in the city. This application is for a new location that was previously issued an MCBP and CUP in 2017. The previous permittee had since surrendered their permit. The applicant has a 10-year lease for the property and states that they will be open in February of 2020. The applicant agrees to pay the city $100,000 upon issuance of a MCBP for dispensary and a minimum of $250,000 in 2020 in lieu of liquidated damages and taxes. At this time, it's staff's recommendation to cause the clerk to conduct a random drawing to determine the order of presentations from applicants, to open the public hearing, receive testimonial and documentary evidence from the applicants to determine a ranking method, to use a forced ranking method, and decide whether to issue one dispensary use MCBP. Staff would like to remind council that the MCBP permits are completely discretionary. The applicants have provided presentations to staff, and I have them ready. I'm available for any questions should you have any prior to presentations from applicants.
Yeah, before we start, can you go back to the previous slide just to clarify as a starting point for let's start with joint forces. I just want to make sure that I get this very clearly. When you say that the applicant projects tax revenues to the city for 2019 of $141,360, is that for the whole year or just the balance of the year?
I would say.
Anna from our finance department is going to come up and discuss.
I want to make sure we're just comparing apples to apples here. So just for the balance of the year. Okay, all right. Okay. That's my next question. Let's go to the Calumet. Okay. So we don't know whether it's annualized or just for the balance of the year. Okay, all right. And then the next one, EL Holdings. Based on my reading of the application, I read it that if they get approval, they will give the city $100,000. Okay, and then 1 year after, they're gonna give us $250,000, regardless of what happens. That's the minimum. Hold on. On the first anniversary, does it go back and recalculate, and then they give us because I'm not sure whether the 250 is forward looking, so to speak, or are we going to recalculate based on the previous months in the balance of the first year? So, for example, let's say if they're given the license tonight, okay, so on June 10th. Today's the 9th, right? On June 10th, 2020, if they accrue so much sales and it's less than $100,000, so they're good for the first year. Is that how you read it? Right, okay. Yeah, I get that. So on the first year, they guarantee us $100,000. Okay, so if the tax revenue accruing to the city is less than $100,000, they're basically they're done. Now, starting on June 10th, 2020, they will give us $250,000 guaranteed upfront, basically. Okay.
I would say that's for the whole calendar year of 2020.
No, it's anniversary. That's how I read it,
Anniversary?
not calendar year.
Because the permits are
Because the way
calendar year.
the way
Yeah.
the application says is, so I'm trying to clarify this so that we are clear in terms of what they are committing. It says here that on page 2, letter C, on the one-year anniversary of the issuance of its MCBP for medical cannabis dispensary, EL Holdings will prepay $250,000. So the way I'm reading it is after 1 year, they will give us another $250,000.
The applicant's here to answer questions.
Okay, so that's, I just want to make sure that, because these numbers are kind of floating around
Yeah,
and,
that's how you look at them.
yeah. So basically, it's kind of more of a guarantee than anything else. Okay, so. Okay, all right, we'll clarify that with the applicants. All right,
And Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
go ahead.
If I may just remind the council that all of these permits expire in December. So the projected sales or the projected offerings for 2020 assumes that the council will renew those permits for the next calendar year.
So we basically need to reset the projections based on calendar year.
I'm just pointing that out when you're discussing this with each particular applicant, that several of the applicants have committed to paying the city 2020 rates, but that assumes, without knowing, that the permits will be issued in December of this year for 2020.
Okay.
It's just a caution. If you reappoint and extend the applications in December, if you carry forward.
So I think we can clarify that
yeah.
during the testimony.
Sure.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you. All right, so how do we proceed? Any question before we conduct the public hearing? Okay, so how do we proceed?
At this time, we would like to cause the clerk to do a random drawing of the applicants' names.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I have the names of the 3 applicants here, and we will put them into the glass bowl and draw randomly. The first going into the bowl is Joint Forces LLC. The second going into the bowl is CaliMed Group, Inc. And the third going in is EEL Holdings, LLC. First name drawn is EEL Holdings, LLC. Second name drawn is CaliMed Group, Inc. And third, Joint Forces LLC.
So EL, you can come forward.
So we need to open the public hearing?
Sorry.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Of course.
Motion by
Then second.
Councilmember Raymond Hamada,
Oh.
seconded by Councilmember Dunn to open the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. Before you proceed, sir, I'd like to invite everyone who will testify tonight to please rise so that you can be sworn in. If you think that there's a slight chance, even a slight chance that you may testify, it's better that you are sworn in now.
And we're talking, anybody who wants to speak for any applicant, is that right, Mayor?
Yeah, applicants and anyone in the public, for or against or whatever. If there's any slight chance that you may testify, please stand so that we don't
The
waste
only
a lot
thing
of
that's
time.
free, so if you,
If you're sworn
wanna
in, you
hold us
don't
up.
you don't need to testify. You don't have to, okay? But it's better that you're sworn in. All right, City Clerk, please conduct the oath taking.
Thank you. Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in the matter pending before the City Council shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. There's only 12 of you, all right? All right, EL Holdings. Just for those who want to testify, just the routine, please state your name and please sign in for the record.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council, staff, mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to present. The proposed location is 15524 Lakewood Boulevard for a retail dispensary. So the topics we're going to cover are the applicant executive summary, experience, the connected Bellflower location that's already open, the proposed location, the actual and projected revenues, the commitments that we've made to clarify the commitments that we've made, and the local community benefit and integration.
Excuse me, do we have time limit?
We didn't state one.
10 minutes?
Taking like 7 minutes. I made it pretty quick. I'll
Okay,
run
10,
through it
10
all.
minutes. I just want to make sure that we're fair to everyone, so 10 minutes.
EO Holdings LLC is the applicant. This is some of our experience. We do just about everything in the cannabis industry. We have permits up and down the state. We do consulting. We actually own real estate as part of our business, as well as operate stores. This is our organization chart. It shows the members and how it breaks down and who our consultants are. The city officials have met many on our team. I just wanted to touch on a few issues. I think our architect is one of the best in the business. He's out of Sacramento, is working on 30, 40 projects at a given time. Knows all the codes and everything really well. Delta Construction, again, one of the strongest contractors in the business. I'm sure you guys have been out there, seen them out there. They're like a gang of brothers. I think there's 8 of them. Some of them are, there's like a triplets. They look like a boy band, but they're really good contractors. And I know the main ones, I could tell them apart, but some of them it gets a little confusing. But the rest of our team is really strong, all the way from fire to waste management, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is really important to have a strong, proven team so that you're able to get these projects through planning, built out, to code, and open. Just a little bit about myself. I'm pretty local, graduated from Wilson High School, live down in Long Beach, right up the street. Takes me 15, 20 minutes to get up here. As anybody could testify on staff, anybody who calls me, I either pick up the phone or I'm right back in, getting back to them before the end of the day. So it's a really good place for us to operate and do business. My original background was real estate. Got into the cannabis industry in around 2015. We're very proud of being the first store open in Bellflower, despite the fact that all the other businesses had a little head start. Also first to open in Belmont Shore. We were, I think, 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 9th to open in Long Beach, which, we didn't have one of the priority 1 licenses, so that makes that kind of history even more impressive. I know there's been some talk about potentially having an applicant with 50% market share. We have a pretty big market share in Long Beach, and I think they've been very happy with our record of operating these businesses. And we give them a 6-figure plus check every quarter. So on that issue, there hasn't been any issues in Long Beach. These are all the applications, pending licenses, et cetera, that we have. We're really strong down in Long Beach, also in Santa Ana. We have some projects up in Merced. Mostly Connected is managing those projects that are up north. List kind of goes on. I won't bore you, but you see that it's pretty extensive. We cover the whole gamut. So here's the 5 active dispensaries that I'm personally operating. Like I said, that there's 3 stores in Northern California that Connected operates. These are the 5 stores that I operate. In Southern California, there's 4 in Long Beach. I'm sorry, they got 3 here. One of them's my wife, so she's there in the audience, Anna. I better give her a shout out. But there's 3 on here. There's actually 4 in Long Beach, 1 in Santa Ana, and 1 in Bellflower. So we're really proud of the store we opened up here in Bellflower. It's a great location. You know, it's the favorite property that we have in our portfolio. I mean, really, the property itself is, in my opinion, only 30% developed so far. So we're gonna, you know, develop that property, hell or high water. We own the real estate. Again, technically, my wife owns the real estate, but we plan on developing the entire thing, which I think is an important thing to think about. It's not going to be horse trading or whatever. If we get the location at Lakewood Boulevard, there's going to be no, you know, losing taxes on the manufacturing business or the distribution we have out here at Artesia Boulevard. But this is some more photos. Looks really nice. Like I said, we're very proud of it. You know, again, we were started a little bit after everybody, and it's still we're first to open. So here's the proposed location. Really good sized parcel, 17,891 square feet. Our proposed area is about 2,200 square feet. We're going to combine 3 units together. There's a total of 21 parking spots. We have 10 of them slated for us. I believe, yeah, 10. 8, it says 8. I think we ended up getting 10 from the guy. I don't want to misspeak, but usually the parking's not full there. So, you know, we have a total of 21. Every time I've been there, there's been like 2 or 3 guys, you know, parked there. The other thing I want to point out on this location, I know everybody gets really fired up on how much money the city's going to make and stuff, but I really believe in the industry, and I believe in having patient access, and I think it's going to be a very good thing to have a location that's north of the 91 there, instead of all the locations kind of being clustered together. More and more, we're finding our clientele is becoming educated. We have an older clientele that's really starting to get into the high CBD products and the more medical products, and I think it's important that everybody have safe, legal access. So being up on that side of town, I think is an important plus. Here's our floor plan. It's kind of our typical layout, you know, waiting room, bud room, but just to kind of show it. These are the projected revenue, or these are the revenues of the actual stores that we have. The projected 2019 is going to be pretty close to right on because we have half a year to go on. You'll notice there that in Long Beach, the 2 stores that were open most of the year, there's a pretty big jump up from 2018 to 2019, and that's because of the medical got changed to the recreational. Another conversation, not for tonight, but just to kind of show you the jump up in the numbers. Here's our pro forma. You know, we don't have ourselves opening until, you know, February 2020. It could even be April 2020. I'm suspect at the 2019 promises of opening. You know, personally, I just think it's, you know, 30 to 60 days to put together a plan, 90 days to get through the building department, you know, at least another 90 days to build, and then add a month or 2 of whatever problems that arise. You got to put in the apron, you got to make a handicap this, things you didn't expect to happen, you have to replace the roof. So I think a reasonable time frame is 9 months. You know, we're shooting for February of 2020. So this is just the pro forma. It kind of picks up, and you know, we think that this location, as well as our Artesia location, has, you know, as good a chance to making, you know, 10, 12, 15 grand a day total revenue, you know, 300, 400,000 a month, pushing up to, you know, $4 or $5 million numbers with the, you know, the right circumstances. So to clarify the prepaying and the taxes and everything, when we did this, I didn't actually think about the end of the year thing. I realized that we have consolidated them to simplify it. So the original intent of this, and then I'll kind of back into practically how we would apply it. But the intent of putting this together was the day we get the license. If we're issued the license, we're going to walk in, we're going to prepay our taxes 100 grand. That belongs to the city. You know, I don't really think there's going to be a ton of revenue that's going to be earned in the following 12 months. It's just, you know, there's only a little bit of time maybe to get open. So that was, you know, essentially something that would be unable to be recovered. We were going to pay the 100,000. If we got there, great. If we didn't, that was going to go in the city's pocket. And then starting would be June 2020. We're going to do the same thing, prepay the $250,000 at the start of the tax year, and then that would be guaranteed money that the city will get. So just thinking on my feet a little bit based on the permits expiring at the end of this fiscal year, I think this is better, but it could cut either way, and I'd be open to any suggestions. But maybe prorating this year on the 100K and then paying the 250K on January 1st, with the idea being that I don't want to short the money that's going to the city, but I actually think if you play out the math, that's a little bit more money, because then it would be the same thing at the next January. But just, that was kind of something that I hadn't thought about before I got here, but I would be willing to make that proposal. The spirit of the proposal, before we really thought about everything expiring at the end of the year, was $100K up front, no matter what happened, $250K the following year. I'd be open to any suggestions to make sure that the city was at least getting that compensation for our license. So here's some of the community benefits. And one thing that I did want to talk about that's been a really good organization in Long Beach, it's the LBCA. We've done a bunch of stuff, expungement fairs, education at Long Beach State. They're even doing classes at Long Beach City College. And I've heard the council people up there a few times say that there's no love lost in the cannabis industry. I would respectfully disagree with that. You know, I know the application process is very competitive, and people are going to differentiate themselves differently. I kind of liken it to like a primary fight, you know, Democrat, Republican primary fight, where you might, you know, kind of rough up your opponents, and then once it's all done, everybody gets on the same page. So in like Long Beach as an example, you know, the industries really come together. I've reached out in Bellflower to Kaliva and Medicine Woman, went over and met with Medicine Woman. We're all kind of getting on the same page. What we want to do here in Bellflower is start a similar thing. It's the Bellflower Collective Association. I'm almost done. That way we could kind of have a similar viewpoint. You know, I've spoken with Joint Forces, very friendly with them as well, but I just kind of wanted to put that in. I know that the application process could be rough and tough, but I do think generally there's a lot of love in the industry, and we come together. So here's some of the charities that we've...
Sorry, your time is up. In
Okay.
respect with the others,
All right.
we
Yeah,
need to
fair enough.
cut it up. Okay. All right. We can ask you questions. Okay. My first question is, can you tell us your experience now, having opened the business on Artesia location? How's it been so far for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very pleased with Bellflower. I'm not just saying this because I'm at a Bellflower City Council meeting. Bellflower has been the best city that I've worked with so far. I thought the building department is very efficient. Everything's right here, one department. You know, to compare it to Long Beach or Santa Ana, or even just regular real estate projects I've done in LA. You know, I really have enjoyed the whole process, getting it through. It was tedious. We had to do a lot of upgrades to we call it the campus, the property itself, but you know, that comes with the territory. So all in all, I think the process has been very good. I've liked the fact that they've pushed us through quicker. I know people have complained just in general at how long the process has taken here. It's taken longer in Long Beach. They've issued 32 licenses going back to like 2017, and only 17 of them are open. You know, I still think not even every single last Santa Ana license is open. I could go on and give you examples. So for me, it's been a very efficient process, and I like not just saying it because I'm here and I'm trying to get a license. It's been my favorite city to work in.
I was about to ask you that. So you're not saying that because
I'm definitely
you're
not.
applying.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not going to hurt me, but it really is my favorite. But if it was my least favorite, I probably wouldn't say.
Can you show your chart where you have five locations?
Yes, sir.
There, oh no, the other one, where you have your list of. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have managers for each of these locations.
Also, generally, the guy that kind of is like the feet on the ground. His name is Adel Hijazi. People call him Adam. He's the manager for 4 out of 5 of those stores, and then the Ryan Burns Collective is now operated by a different guy.
So who's running its location? Are you the one running it?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I'm not there on the day-to-day, but the buck stops with me. If the city calls me, or if there's a tax bill that's not paid, or if a political person calls me, or whatever it is, I'm the guy running it. I'm not there at the store on a daily basis. This is more my side of the business, but I'm the guy.
Okay, so do you still have time to run another location?
Yes.
Can you still do it?
Yes, I mean, I'd make the argument that the guy who has 30 Starbucks is going to have an easier time opening up number 31 than a guy who's never opened up a Starbucks is going to have a lot harder time opening number 1 because he doesn't have the team together, he doesn't have the point of sale system, he doesn't have all the things that you need necessarily, right, to run a successful business. So we have a really good system in place. We've actually combined all our accounting recently so that it all comes up through one system. And I don't see adding 1, 2, 3, even 5 stores from where we are today being an issue at all.
Okay. And I know that you understand our issue regarding your liquidated damages. So how can you clarify that now in terms of, since the permit will expire at the end of the year, which is calendar year, not fiscal year.
Right.
So you need to reapply, in December.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's going to be effective January 1st of 2020. So how will that play out in terms of your committed liquidated damages?
So my proposed solution would be to prorate this year and then start the 250 in 2020.
You won't be in the running if you prorate.
What's that?
You will not be in the running if you prorate.
No, well, I'm trying to think of essentially, I'm guaranteeing in a year that I'm not going to be producing.
Prorate based on what date?
From the date of
2019.
Yeah, from the date of the license being awarded. I mean, it's
so if the license awarded today,
right.
Basically we can date it tomorrow, right? Do we date it tomorrow or today?
I think he's saying
We would go from tomorrow for the
From
rest
tomorrow,
of the year.
okay.
How many days are left in
So
the
from
rest
tomorrow until December 31st, it's going to be $100,000
I'm okay.
prorated,
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yes.
or just $100,000 flat? I'm negotiating here.
All right, you can negotiate me up to 100,000. I'm not going to leave anything on the table. That's fine. I mean, essentially, we're not going to be, we're not going to make any income. I'm just being realistic about it.
Right.
In 2019, I'd be okay on the issuance of the permit.
And you know where we're coming from,
Yeah, I
because
get it.
we
You want the
lost
money.
a lot of income
I
already
get
since
it.
December 2017.
Yeah, let me simplify this. On June of 20, or today, or June of 19, 100,000. First part of the year, we'll prepay the 250 on January 1st.
Okay, I think that's cleaner, I think.
Yeah.
It's a lot
It's a
easier
little-
to.
it's a little better for you
it's a lot
guys, but I'm
easier-
okay
no,
with it.
No, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to understand.
Right, right.
Instead of prorating in June.
Well, when
so
I
it's a
did
lot
it,
cleaner that way.
When we did this and we did the calculations, we didn't really take into consideration the January 1st thing. So the model was made for, ideally, year by year. So essentially, I'm losing 5 months, but I think I can live with that.
Okay, so you're committing $100,000 this year. As soon as if you get the license tonight, you guarantee $100,000, and starting January 1st, 2020, you guarantee $250,000 for
Yes,
the
sir.
whole year.
If I get issued the license,
Yeah.
walk in with the check. And that's in addition to I think there's school fees and some other stuff.
The 5%.
That's
There's a
associated with it.
$5,000
education fee,
So-
an annual.
So I think it would be like
$26,000.
130 or something like that, just ballparking based on
Yeah, something like that.
experience.
Okay. All right, it's a lot cleaner. Any question for Mr. Lewis?
I do. And
Go ahead,
and as
Councilmember
goes
Dunn.
along, so the 250, because it's basically the 250,000 is a minimum of the sales tax revenue owed to the city.
Yes, sir.
So you're paying that up front in January to go the whole year of 2020.
Yes, sir.
So say at the end of the year, because we're collecting tax, so we're going to be giving you money back, because we're going to be, the State Board of Equalization, or whatever they call it now, is going to be giving us quarterly payments. And so if you pay it up front, you're guaranteeing it. I don't know why we need the check, because he's guaranteeing a minimum of 250 for the whole year of 2020.
If I may, I think we collect it every month.
I think it's quarterly that we get our
No, in terms
Depends on
of
its
the
volume.
guarantee, we collect it every month.
the guarantee. Okay, as he's selling cannabis, he's charging sales tax.
Right.
It goes to the state. The state sends us the money
You get a refund.
a quarter behind all the time.
Right.
So he's going to be, in lieu of paying, we're going to be at one point in time, we're going to be writing him a check.
Right, exactly.
Or any entity that we do business with a check.
I'm
And
not
if it's over, if it's say the sales tax collected was 450,000.
Yeah, I mean, the
we're
intent
going to
is-
give you.
the intent is not to get a check back. I don't know the logistics of how.
Well,
I just
you're
assume
going to be paying tax twice.
Right.
Okay.
Councilmember Dunton, I just want to clarify that what you are guaranteeing, what EELs is guaranteeing, is not the sales tax, but the cannabis tax.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what I meant, the cannabis tax.
Okay.
But the cannabis tax isn't that collected to the state and got back to us?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
They pay us
Okay,
directly.
Got it. I got it mixed up.
I think
I'm
it's
a
the
retailer.
So there is there's three taxes, right?
Yeah.
So you have the
State tax.
15% excise tax, then you have the sales tax.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to this, but the 5%, I
Okay.
think you guys could do whatever you
Okay,
want
we
with it. It's
we
your
collect
money.
the 5% right there every month then.
But
The sorry.
But if I may, he still can be entitled to, well, any licensee can be entitled to a refund because they're prepaying every month. So come January 1st or January 2nd, you'll give us 112 of 250,
Yes.
okay? And then February 1st, 112 again. And then March 1st,
I mean, the
112
idea was
again.
to bring it all in. If you prefer
I don't-
the other way.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my understanding is paying a lump sum.
Right.
Okay, so you want to pay the whole lump sum?
Well,
Take his
once
money.
is a
All
strong
right,
word, but I'm
thank you.
offering to
Well,
pay it,
honestly,
yes.
it's kind of painful there.
What's so hard about this?
I thought you were negotiating. Now you're, yes.
Okay.
I
You make-
would, excuse
ahead, go ahead.
I would just like to clarify that the cannabis taxes are due at the end of the following month. So for July through September, it's due October 31st. However, the permittees are welcome to prepay the taxes anytime.
Which they do, because in the case of Caliba is doing monthly. I'm just saying
I
that.
guess that's
They're
something we
just
gotta
paying
work out.
monthly.
So
It's their
so it's
prerogative.
advanced.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I got another question.
Sure, go ahead.
And you alluded to one of the councilmen that was worried about giving 50% of our dispensaries licenses to one entity. And
Yes,
that
sir.
would be me.
Yes, sir. I didn't remember exactly
So,
where it
and you
came from,
mentioned Long Beach. How many, and you've mentioned 30, was it 32? Is there 32 dispensaries
There's,
in?
there's 32 total. We have 4 that are open out of the,
Okay.
the 17.
Okay, you have 4, okay. There's 32 dispensaries in Long Beach,
Yes, sir.
right? And you have 4 of them.
There was a point in time where we had
Had
50.
more?
We had 50. Well, there
You
was.
had, at one point in time, you had 50%,
I
is what
think
you're
when
saying?
we opened our 9th one, there
Okay.
was 4 stores and there was 9
Okay.
open, and we were writing checks.
Okay.
And I understand it's a fair.
I'm just wondering what
concern.
you were alluding to.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm calling you out.
No, fair enough.
Okay. Okay.
But one point to make: Southern Wine and Spirits, I think, has 40% market share in alcohol,
Uh-huh.
and that's a whole state. I'm not sure on that fact, but I think it's something like that, and that seems to
Got it.
work pretty well. So, I think at the end of the day, and I appreciate your concern. You don't want to. Is it just a general life principle? This issue aside, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
But I don't think having 2 licenses, if you're not really taking a risk in the sense you've already seen that I can get a store open, how I'm going to build it out, what I'm going to do. So I do have a proven track record, and having 2 good stores that are, with knowing what's kind of going to happen, because there's, past performance is indicative of future results, I would say is less risky than taking a chance on an applicant that hasn't been proven yet.
Fair answer, thank you.
Just a follow-up question. With opening another store, do you have your suppliers in place?
Yeah, everything's in place. I mean, that's there now. The dynamic of the marketplace is changing. People are trying to get into the retail stores, so having it supplied is going to be the easy part. In fact, the prices seem to be coming down on the production side. So if there's any issue, it's probably the bottleneck is now more in the retail than a shortage of distillate or production. I remember Mr. Coops' Hollywood Video example. The distillate price is coming down pretty substantially. It started off at maybe 9,000. It's down at about 6,500 bucks a liter, more or less, depending on how much you buy.
Okay. All right, good. Any question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Romano, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Lewis, thank you for coming tonight, and again, thank you for opening the facility on Artesia. So you had mentioned that's a great location. So, and I'd like to hear from you on what you felt were the characteristics of that great location. I mean, I can see, again, at the intersection, 2 major thoroughfares. You got like a business community right there. Yes, there's residential within striking distance. Do you compile data on your source of buyers on where they're coming from?
Yes, we do. We haven't yet on Bellflower, but we've run substantial analytics. It's very interesting. Just as like little examples, we'll like we did it in Belmont Shore. We did it on our property that's right off the Cherry and the freeway in Long Beach. And the Cherry and freeway, as you'd suspect, gets much more far travel. I think it's something like 60% of the people are coming from more than a neighboring zip code, whereas in Long Beach, I think it's about The Belmont Shore stores, about 80% are in the zip code. Also, connected products get bought at about 30% in that store versus a lower number because the demographic's a little older. They're more into CBDs. At Belmont Shore, there's an age kind of interesting thing. So even within and we just do this for marketing purposes, kind of to know where to put stores. But even within the same city, two different areas could be substantially different. I suspect where that store is, we're going to get a lot of travel off the 91. A lot of the cities have, we're just kind of getting it going, and there's the medical issue and everything. But I suspect that area there, everything around it has bans. There's not a lot of competing stores, so I'm very optimistic at the outlook. The other one on Lakewood is in the north part of town near Downey and Paramount, north of the freeway. I think it will draw in a whole different crowd. I think it's about 1.3 miles from the Artesia location, which is substantial amount of distance to pull in a different demographic.
So you feel that's a great location too. You're
I mean,
gonna qualify it as such, how it's set up, where it's located next to certain land uses and so on.
Yeah, I think it has all the things that you need. I mean, it's on a busy thoroughfare, Lakewood. It's got good parking. It's got good visibility from the street, and like I said, it's near Downey and Paramount as well. So I think we'll pull from a wide area, and there doesn't seem to be anything up on that side of town yet. So.
Do you plan to call it Connected to Bellflower?
Probably not. So this has been a discussion that we've had at length. What we want to do is avoid cannibalizing ourselves. So there's been some discussion. We haven't come to 100% agreement. I think right now we're probably leaning towards doing a different, branding and kind of licensing arrangement that we have on the other stores. But right now, if I'm guessing, it's probably more likely than not going to be connected, and that topic has been discussed thoroughly amongst us about what we want to do. You noticed it on the presentation tonight. We didn't put connected, and that's intentional because probably, like I said, most likely will not be a connected store.
So with another store 1.3 miles away, so you don't feel your Artesia facility, you said it's one very good one.
Right.
Based on location, the facility itself, you have a nice facility. It's like everything,
Well, the really cool part about.
But I'm sorry, but then to sort of, some people may say thin it out and create a second one in very close in your area of the same company. So it will not cannibalize, and it's not going to take one very good one that's going to be successful on Artesia, and then thin it out and spread it out to Artesia and maybe Lakewood, and maybe not do better.
No, it's my strong belief it won't cannibalize. So when we set up Long Beach, we did 2 connecteds, 2 non-connecteds. Besides locations, all similar, operational success. So I don't believe that they'll cannibalize. If we were opening up, 1,200 feet away, and we were also naming it Connected, of course, that being the extreme example. The thing I really like about the Artesia property is just the whole campus. Once it gets all developed, it's going to be, one of the more impressive assets in Southern California, I think, as far as overall potential and everything being on there. The Lakewood Boulevard property, we have good parking, only 2,300 feet, so we're only could do the retail, but I think it could be just successful retail wise is the Artesia one.
Are you familiar with the term slotting?
What is it?
Slotting?
No.
No. All right. Well, some have used that term, and apparently they market others products.
Right.
And they sort of it's like a mini tenant within in a store.
Yes.
So, and fees are collected in some cases.
So we've just kind of started that discussion. I think that's where the industry's going. Like the main ones right now that we're talking about is when you walk into the 2nd Street location, there's like a little display there. Haven't wanted to do it because it seems like a little too capitalist move, but we think that we could definitely charge for those spaces. And I do think eventually, it looks like, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to go, but it looks like over time that at a minimum we have a variety of brands that come. They do giveaways, they bring in clients, they post it on Instagram, and that drives traffic that way, and they set up stands and they give away products. I do think at some point, more of that, I haven't heard that term, is gonna happen. And like I said, we could probably charge for sure, maybe 15, 20 products that go in this display case, $500 to $1,000 a month. But I just thought that was a little too much to do right now, at least.
Something like that, do you believe I mean, that'll be your own income, and it's not something that's listed as revenue that'll be subject to our taxes or in any way?
I think anything that we make in the store is gross receipts. I'm pretty sure that even the paraphernalia, like the shirts and the hats we put on, maybe not at the state level, but I think anything that we sell I would assume is gross receipts. I mean, it's not gonna be huge amounts of money. I do think that's coming soon. There's a little bit of a consolidation happening in the industry. If you look at just other industries, the retail is pretty consolidated. This industry is very, very new, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But just as a general thing, we are seeing the producers fighting harder to get into the retail stores than maybe just a year or 2 years ago. And those projects have been harder to come online. Now they're starting to get online, starting basically back in 2016. Those guys are starting to get online, so the production is increasing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamada. Councilmember Coops?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again for coming and giving your testimony.
Of course, my
And
pleasure.
what we just talked about reminds me of, Ray, remember when we put together that basket of liquors that we went over to Emilio's? And I had never done this before. So we went over to this place that's pretty popular in Bellflower that's not far from your operation. And it was a Saturday afternoon, and they had in there many different representatives from the different liquor companies. And it mainly was very well-dressed ladies that were promoting what it is that they were selling.
That happens.
And it was like the fair, and that wasn't Emilio's, that was all the suppliers that wanted to promote their product. So I can see the potential.
Basically happens, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so based on what you were saying, on the best scenario or the worst, whereby you would open up your Lakewood location April of 20, that was kind of what you laid down, right?
Yes, I mean, I'd be shooting for quicker. I just don't want to give an unrealistic timeline. Like I said, realistically, we could get our plan in 60 days, hopefully get out of building in 60 days, and then, 90 days to 4 months of a build out. So, if we kill it, it could be 7, 8 months. That's the absolute best case. But my experience is it always takes longer. Something always happens. There's something that I'm sitting here right now. I don't know what it is that's going to come up that I'm going to have to fix. So you allot another month or two for that. I think realistically, right around the first part of February, April, May 2020 is to be realistic. Of course, we'll shoot for faster, but I've done enough of these just to any time frame before that. I just don't think it's realistic.
So basically, you're not going to sell a dime's worth of product during the 2019. That $100,000 that you're offering is a donation.
Well, I would call it a tax, but yes.
Well, I mean, you got to have a sale to have a tax, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, yes.
You got nothing to sell because you're going to have a store that's open.
I would say it's pretty close to donations, but in this business right now, we're used to making a lot of donations. Oh, one thing.
Really?
One thing that I did want to get in that I had forgotten, now that I just kind of mentioned that it came to me, is we did apply for a state license for the manufacturing over there in Bellflower. These are 35, maybe just think that's 35,000, a lot of paperwork. So the way that works, you have to get a temporary license and then a provisional license. If you don't do that, then you're going to have to start all the way from scratch and get your annuals. So had you not done that on another license that you had, whether it be manufacturing or cultivation, it would make me wonder just in general, what the general intent was there. It was really easy to get a temp at the end of the year. The provisionals weren't very difficult. It was some work. But now if you were going to build out a manufacturing facility and you didn't have a temp and then a provisional, it could be 6 months, maybe more, to get the annual license because you got to start all the way from scratch. So just wanted to throw that in.
So you were to get a city license, then you still need to jump through the hoops for the state of California? Or has that already been accomplished? Does your one location give you some sort of license to operate in the other, or is that a separate entity?
Separate entity, whole separate licensing thing. So the way that it works, so when you guys issue the original approvals, you give us what's called local authorization. We don't have to be built out. We could take that local authorization and go to the state. So take my manufacturing project at 9032 Artesia. I already have my state license in place. Not only did I get the temp, I got the provisional. So the day that I finish my build out, I'll be able to open, as opposed to somebody who didn't go through those hoops. They're at least probably an additional 6 months, maybe more. They barely just got through issuing the provisionals. An annual is a license you'd have to go all the way back to the beginning and get. So, you know, the way that it works, you get local authorization. Then with that, you could go and do the state. We got a temp, which we had to get by the end of the year, and then those expired at the first part of this year. We barely got in the provisional. We paid our fees. We did the whole application, and now we'll be in line to get the annual. Starting over just seems like it's going to be, you know, a multi-month process. So I just wanted to bring that out to draw a distinction about what we've done on the manufacturing that we've been building out.
So if you were to receive a license from the city, you'd put in motion as quickly as possible the chance to get the state of California authorizing you.
We already have the state.
All right, but I mean over there for the retail operation.
Oh, over there
in
and yes, sir.
I mean, because that's probably part of the equation. When you say I won't be ready till April,
Right.
you got your brick and mortar element, but you also have your paperwork element.
No, well, you got it exactly right. So what you don't want to do is wait all the way down to the end and then apply for the state. And then in the case of the Lakewood Boulevard property, you can't get a temp after the end of the year. Last year was the last time you could get a temp. So we could only get an annual because we didn't get a provisional. So we would want to get on that. Like, let's say we were awarded a license today. We'd have, basically when we submitted our plan with all the security and everything in place, then we'd be ready to submit it to state and get a full annual license. But we would want to start that, you know, as soon as possible, so that when our build out was done, that we were ready with the state license, as opposed to like having it all the way built out, then trying to go back to the state license. You're going to be sitting there for, you know, 6 months waiting to get the state license, not able to operate your business, even though you have a certificate of occupancy in hand.
When you put your Artesia Boulevard property and project together, I'm sure you took a compass and drew a circle around your location to kind of where it is that you were going to draw from, which in that location would be North Long Beach, it would be Lakewood, it would be Bellflower. I would think those are predominant. I don't know how far you put your radius out.
I think with the 91 there, you know, we could draw all the way from Cerritos, Los Alamitos, Downey, Paramount. All those areas have bands. Our big disadvantage to Long Beach, I have a friend of mine that is actually on Artesia down like, you know, 5 or 6 major blocks. They're selling, you know, recreational cannabis. We're actually losing, you know, clients to that, you know, to the Long Beach market right now. But I do think that, you know, if we had that little piece of it, we could draw from all over. The other thing that's really exciting that we're kind of sitting on that we want to do is right now it's a battle that's going on at the state, but it's inside out delivery. So if your city currently has a ban, and this is a huge opportunity for Bellflower to get tax dollars. If your city currently has a ban, which is basically every city around Bellflower with the exception of Linwood, Montebello, Long Beach, and LA, and maybe a few others, we would be able to deliver into those cities. And with how much parking, garage pull-in that we have on that location, our original kind of thing that we were, you know, our idea was that we would have, you know, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 delivery trucks that we send out in the morning, and they would float around, you know, different areas, whether it be Downey, Paramount. And this bill is still up for debate. You know, some of the industry is fighting for it and against it, which is a weird thing. Usually we're all on one page, but right now you could do the inside out delivery. Looks like it's going to stand up and you could do it. So with that Bellflower location, you know, we could really, you know, optimize it with that in mind.
Your current location that's operating, how far is it? What's the closest one to the Artesia property?
In like legal dispensary?
Yeah, where you're dispensing cannabis, is it more than 1.3 miles like you indicated it would be from Lakewood to Artesia?
Oh, I'm guessing that the other ones. Oh, Medicine.
Your personal.
Medicine Woman's like right down.
No, not Medicine Woman.
Right.
The ones that you have.
The closest I would say there is the one in on 3170 Cherry. It's like the 405.
All right, so that's 4 or 5 miles away, isn't it?
At least, yeah. I mean, that's like probably 15-minute, you know, drive from there. You'd probably go right up Cherry, get over to Lakewood, and then shoot up. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good drive. I mean, Belmont Shore is not really that close. Santa Ana's a ways down there. That other one's on 4th Street, so that's not really that easy.
I was just checking to see whether or not you had anything as close as what you're proposing to do now in your existing. Do you have any that are?
You know, the Belmont Shore location from 4th Street, I don't know. I'm guessing the distance is probably pretty similar. maybe a little bit further, maybe
But
a mile
then
and a
it's
half.
kind of in the same
1.8 miles.
category, isn't it?
Right, yeah, pretty close. And we called that, it's on there as Ryan Burns Collective, because but we called it the Lift. Oh, he's got it there. And, you know, we used a different name for that exact same reason. But the latest discussion is that all the non-connected ones are gonna get branded one name going forward. We didn't really know we would get this far, so we just kind of kept coming up with new names. But what I think we are gonna do is, you know, Connected will kind of be one set. We have a licensing deal with them. We carry their product, and then the ones that aren't, we're gonna rebrand them all one name. Not exactly sure what that is. And then if we fall into that situation where they're a little bit close, you know, whatever the, you know, brand number 2 is gonna be, we're gonna put them all the same store so people will recognize them. So probably this will be, the Bellflower one will be the first one that has a new name on it, and then we're gonna probably go back and rebrand the Long Beach, the Lift, the station. They got all these different names. We're gonna rebrand them all the same so that people will recognize it when they come up to Bellflower.
Build the trademark. Huh?
Right.
All right, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? All right, you can
Thanks, guys.
sit back and relax, but don't go away. We'll invite the public to chime in. Anyone who would like to speak on the application of EEL, please come forward.
Mayor, city council members,
Good evening, Anita. I know you've been sworn in, so yes.
I just have a question for Mr. Elliott, about the vans that he was talking about, the delivery trucks. When they're not gonna be in use, where's he gonna park them?
Okay.
After the discussions we had last month about parking problems, he might have to consider where he's going to put them during the rest of the time.
Okay. I'm sure he'll respond to your question later when we call him back. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Peter?
Question. He said till recently, they changed the financing, everything's funneled into one account. I was wondering what was it before? Where was all the money going with different things? He said there was a change in accounting. Now it's all funneled into one account, because I believe EL Holdings is like an umbrella company for different things. 250,000. Right now, 250,000. If you gave now for the year, it's 5 million in sales. 250,000 in 2020 is only 2.5 million. So let's say that's only 5%, and I believe in 2020 it's going to 10%. So wouldn't he have to go up to $500,000 to cover the same amount? And if he gives it 250,000, let's say he makes 6 million, is he gonna? Do we get even more money just to make it at 10%? Would be 3.
Well, 250 is just the minimum.
Yeah.
So any shortage is gonna pay us back.
And if he makes
If he
more,
sells more than the equivalent of $250,000 in taxes, then he needs to write us a check.
Okay.
Okay.
Please stop me if I'm speaking out of place, but I have a comment that's a little bit more general for item 11B, but I think it's only a couple of minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I represent Derek Lee, and the owner of the property located at 17812 Bellflower, and my comment is generally as to just the process that's taken place. We submitted a comment letter today. I don't know if it was distributed. I have extra copies. It was sent to the clerk's office.
Yeah, we all had it in front of us.
We got it,
Okay,
yeah.
It's been up
okay,
here.
great.
Mhm.
So just to summarize essentially what was already put in writing there, when in 2017 this procedure first took place, my client did submit an application under Bellflower Medical Wellness. They received a CUP application, but they were 5th in the lottery, so they just missed the application. They just missed getting a license for the business license. And what happened after that was when one opening came up because somebody surrendered their license, they were part of that. My client was part of that process. They went through this ranking system that you guys have here. But then when 2 later were not renewed, there was a declaration, a resolution 19-13, which renewed the procedures for how this whole system operates. And it didn't set a deadline. The resolution itself didn't set a deadline by which our client or other interested entities would be able to apply for a permit. And instead, it says that the city clerk's office would set up a time and date for a deadline to be determined by the city manager. And our client, and we don't really know how the notice was given at the end, because we weren't unable to find a minute order. We were unable to find any public notice that was given. And so this procedure, it's unclear how the 4 original applicants that were heard on April 8th and on April 22nd, 3 of which you're hearing again today, it's unclear how they were given notice, whether they were hand-selected by the city manager, whether they were hand-selected by some other process. But it doesn't appear that it was reopened up to the 12 original applicants who had submitted in 2017. And there are some due process issues at stake here that we wanted to put the city on notice about. And the notice was not given to our client, and we would like the opportunity to be included as part of the analysis here this evening. I'm sure there are other entities that would be like to have that opportunity to be included as well. And due to the due process issues that are at stake here, we think that, you know, hearing just these 3 and making a decision tonight puts the city at jeopardy in a certain way, because there isn't a solid ground to stand on terms of the notice and due process issues. And our client would like an opportunity to be heard, and therefore we are suggesting that this whole hearing get continued so that notice can be given, the appropriate applications can be submitted through a deadline, through a process, and then the city can make a decision based on all the available information.
Okay. Before I let the city manager and city attorney respond to your question, let me just say that the process, generally speaking, is evolving. You know, from day one, and you'll see a lot of changes here and then. So it wasn't fixed from day one. And if I had known what we know now back then, we would not be in this kind of situation. I can tell you that, because along the way we made a lot of changes in terms of the process, in terms of how we collect money. So I'll let the city manager and city attorney respond to your question in terms of the noticing.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as you know, this has been in front of the council. I can't count how many times. Well, I mean, the issue has been in front of the council multiple times. The latest resolution that we're operating under is not resolution number 1933. It's resolution 1965, I think it is. That sets forth exactly what the criteria are for meeting the requirements in terms of submitting an application, getting notice, and what have you. I don't know who this individual represents, but certainly he's correct that the original 12 that were part of the application process back in 2017 are not part of the pool being considered by the city council at this point. That was a policy decision made by the city council weeks ago. The council is not determined to reopen for general processing of applications any consideration of new permits or new applicants. That is also accurate. That's a policy decision made by the city council. Right now, the 3 applicants that are being considered by the city council meet the qualifications for the latest resolution and are properly in front of the city council. In terms of notice, I believe we have a dedicated web page which sets forth the times and dates within which the applicants that meet the qualifications of the current resolution must submit their applications. All 3 applicants today met those requirements and they were received proper notice and are properly in front of the city council. You know, this individual is welcome to submit his objections in writing. I'm happy to respond to them, but in terms of moving forward, you're perfectly within your rights to move forward right now.
Okay.
Do I have an opportunity to
Sure,
respond?
go ahead.
My question was more directed at, I understand that the current procedures in place right now, my particular client, the Bellflower Medical Wellness, doesn't actually qualify to be able to submit an application right now, because right now.
Excuse me, I don't know what we're debating then. You just admitted that your client doesn't qualify for it.
That's exactly right. So what I'm debating is the fact that my client originally, back when the original resolution was adopted, and I'm talking about 1913 and 1916, there was a procedure in place that the city manager was supposed to set forth a deadline. And
Yeah, but
that's,
as I said
that notice
earlier,
was
as I
never
said
given.
earlier, we changed the procedures. Because if you remember correctly, the first round, it was based on first come, first serve.
Right.
Okay, we changed it totally. We're now into first ranking. So we made a lot of changes along the way.
That is correct.
Okay.
But what happened is when you made those changes along the way, certain procedures were not followed and certain notices were not given, so certain applicants were not given the opportunity to participate along with everybody else. And that's really the main issue.
Well, if they're not qualified, then they will not be noticed. If they're qualified, then they will be noticed.
They're not qualified because they weren't rejected on April 8th or
Right.
April 22nd,
Okay. So
and they didn't get notice to be submitted in time for April 8th or April 22nd.
So there's a clear
That's really
qualification in terms of who's going to notice or not.
That's the complaint, really,
Yeah,
is that they were never given notice as to when would be the deadline to be considered on April 8th or April 22nd. And we don't know what the procedures are. I actually haven't heard an answer yet on what procedures were given to these 4 applicants who did apply in April, and how they were given notice as to when the deadline was to be submitted.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about public hearings that happened in April. We're not in April, we're in June. So if you want to submit written objections to this process, I'm happy to respond to them. But you've just admitted on the record under oath that your client is not qualified to be considered tonight. So I'm not quite sure what we're continuing to debate about.
Yeah, I'm not actually asking for our
Okay.
client's application to be considered tonight, because based on the current resolution, they wouldn't be eligible.
Okay.
But
so
my issue is more with opening the process up so that it wouldn't violate due process, so that all of the applicants can be considered with the appropriate
So for the purpose
notice.
of this hearing, it's a moot point. Your client is not qualified to submit an application.
So yeah,
Okay.
but on that note, if the city does adopt and give one of these applicants a license tonight, the quota of 4 is going to be fulfilled. There's not going to be any openings, and the city will have made a decision tonight based on incomplete set of applications, which we think is due to the due process violation back in April, because our client wasn't given an opportunity to be part of this process. And then after that, when the resolutions changed in April, after these were heard in April, the decision was made, we're only going to hear these 3 again after April 8th, on April 22nd, and when those were all rejected, it's these same 3 applicants that are before you tonight.
Okay.
And so the due process violation happened back when the original application.
Okay.
And
As
Mr.
the
Mayor,
city attorney said, I think you can file your complaint and they
Thank you
will
very much.
respond.
Appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, members of the council, as I stated, there is no due process violation with regard to this public hearing.
All right. Anyone else who'd like to speak on this application?
Members, my name's Priscilla
Is the
Brown.
microphone on?
Pull it in.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a little short. My name's Priscilla Brown, and I know the last time you guys had the 2 applicants and couldn't make a decision with the Calumet and Joint Forces, I believe. Anyway, there was a big issue with location as far as the distance with residents and high schoolers walking by. But this location on Lakewood has residents directly over the 5-foot fence. I mean, directly next door. So, I mean, you're talking like 30 feet or something. And then across the street, it's like, I don't know, 150 feet. So, but the Somerset and Clark location, the closest houses were like 160 feet and 200 feet away. So that was a big issue, is how close it was to residents, correct?
Is it the distance or the students? My issue was.
Well, it was both.
No.
Hamada, I believe you had a problem with how close the Clark and Somerset location was to residents.
My comment referred to what I called a neighborhood area. So I just generalized it. I didn't specifically create distances or establish numbers.
No, but you said it was you were
It's a neighborhood shopping
uncomfortable-
area. That's the term I used.
But you said you were uncomfortable with it being close to residents, if I recall. So, I mean, if you're saying it's close to neighborhoods, this one's right in a neighborhood. I mean, it's on Lakewood Boulevard, but it's on a residential street. You've got a house next door. You've got
Mayor.
a motel across the
yeah.
street, and then you've got a house next to the motel.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, during the comments from Mr. Lewis, I did bring up what I asked was characteristics, and again, Artesia, he said that was a great location. So tell me what are the characteristics? And I kind of pointed out major thoroughfares, business community area, so on and so on. And then I did point out, I says, what about the land uses in proximity to the Lakewood site? So that I just asked. So.
Okay, I just don't know why there was such a concern about the other one being close to residents, but this one's closer to resident. It's like right next door to a house. So that's my concern. So, and then I know there was the issue of high schoolers walking by. And I mean, I know the medicine woman is not even in the play tonight, but I drove by there one afternoon because I wanted to see how many students were walking by, and there wasn't very many students walking by, but the students that were walking by, and they were probably like elementary kids, maybe one middle school child, walked by, and they live right next door. So that's another location that you've got a trailer park right across the street, and you've got residents directly over the fence. So I'm just pointing out, I don't know what, this was a big concern.
Do you have issue with the students in this location and on Lakewood Boulevard?
Well, they live right next door.
No, students, not neighbors, students.
Oh, on the location for Lakewood?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No,
Okay,
I don't have a, no.
Okay.
But you're right next door to
I
a
was about to say
resident.
that because I watched the traffic there. I just like what I did with Calumet and Joint Forces. I parked my car across the street. I didn't see any student walking past the shopping center, because if you know that on the west side of Lakewood Boulevard, that's Paramount School District, they will not cross into Bellflower going to school. And the same thing with students.
They may have
and the students
permits.
there were no, based on my observation, there were no students walking by the location.
Okay, so, but it's still close to a house. I mean, those were the two issues. Were
That
the
was not my
students-
issue. Okay.
Okay, then Mr. Hamada, Councilman Hamada, so that was, that was your issue, was the residents and the closeness to this location of the residents in the neighborhoods.
Again, as I mentioned during the last hearing on that, I just made what I term that area as more of a, it's not a, like a high density commercial type area. To me, it's more of a lower density, and I just use the term neighborhood because it's in proximity to residential areas. So yes, and I do recognize that this one tonight is
Right next
they're right
door.
next door, and
Right
I
next
did
door.
point that out about land uses. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
Again, can I direct a question?
No. You direct a question to
Okay.
me, and then he will respond later on.
Okay. One of the statements that he had made was the revenues increasing up to $5+ million per year. I'm wondering if that is just medical marijuana or if that is a combination of medical and recreational marijuana.
There's no recreational
The
in
reason
Bellflower.
he was giving is his stores in Long Beach, which I believe sell both medical and recreation. And those were the numbers he was using from. He wasn't using his connected store in Bellflower. He was using his Long Beach stores.
Okay,
So
we
with that
can
in
clarify
mind,
that.
is he, again, conflating the two? And if so, is the city of Bellflower going to allow recreational marijuana?
You know the answer on the recreational already. It's not allowed in Bellflower.
Right now?
Okay.
Is that going to be up for debate shortly?
It's not allowed at this time. Okay.
That's not the end of the question. Is it going to be up for debate shortly?
I cannot answer the question. Okay. Anyone else? All right, Mr. Lewis, can you come up and respond to those questions?
Yeah, I think one lady was wondering about, the first lady was wondering about the
The
parking.
vans, the
Yeah, the
vans.
vans.
Okay.
So we would have areas to pull in, to load the van, so it was safe. and I forget the count, but it's near 100 parking spaces. I think of any property, that property probably will have the least impact. We wouldn't do it in the A or the loop it right. We'd do it towards the back of the property. To the other gentleman's thing regarding the recreational, you know, for now we're sending the patients to the doctors, getting as many of them as we can signed up. It's true that, you know, the numbers would be better under the recreational. There's some other limitations here in Bellflower as well. We close a little bit early. We're closed on Sunday. I think that the biggest impact to the numbers would be the recreational, maybe extending the hours. The Sunday thing is not, I think, a big issue, but as everybody knows, Mr. Mayor has made clear, we're well aware of the rules. We do the best under the rules we can do, and it's medical only. So, you know, we'll do our best to get to those numbers. I do think, you know, little by little, the steps are tougher, that we are getting people signed up. We started out at a couple $100 a day. The last few days we got up to $1,400-$1,400. You know, it's a matter of retraining the patients. Kind of what's happened is, since 2018, when recreational became a thing, a lot of people let their card expire. And now, since there's other options, it is a little more difficult to, you know, sign them up. Just as an example, you know, guys get lazy. They don't want to pay the $40. I think 6 or 10% of our business now in Long Beach is medical. But if the only option is medical, there's definitely, we are building a loyal clientele, and that's what we're, you know, operating under today, and we only can do what we can do in today. Of course, there's a bunch of variables. You know, the numbers are aspirational, but you know, we don't assume anything. We know what we're at medical only now. So just kind of wanted to make that clear.
So on the question, the kind of direct question about the $5 million in projected sales, is that medical only?
I mean, it would help. You know, these are all projections.
Right. But you're projecting medical only for $5 million at this time.
We'll do our best to get there. Obviously, if there's recreational, it will be easier.
No,
you know,
recreational is off the table right
yes,
now. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So $5 million is basically. I just want to clarify the question about whether it's recreational and or medical.
No, of course we did it.
Medical only.
Medical only, yes.
Okay.
I think there was one other.
I think Peter has a question.
Oh yeah. So no, each store has to do its own. Yeah, about the accounting and the one account thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have one accounting that figures out, you know, how much kind of everything is doing. But each store has to have its own independent accounting with its own POS system. It's got to pay its own state taxes, its own local taxes, and then we kind of do like an umbrella thing just to figure out for our own internal notes what it is. But it's not. It's just a P&L that ties it all together. Luckily, in Long Beach, because we have a good a relationship with the UFCW. In fact, we're hopefully about to sign up our Bellflower store. Every store that we have is a UFCW store, so they let us bank over there. Still a question as
what's UFCW?
United Food and Commercial Workers.
Oh, okay.
So basically,
right. The union. Okay.
So I'm glad it came up. But one of the things we're really proud of, all our employees are union employees. Bellflower's about to do their vote. It should happen shortly, but all have health care. We pay 80% of the health care, guaranteed raises, 401ks, the same way they would collective bargain at a Ralph's or a Trader Joe's. They collective bargain with us. I think that you know, we've had a very good relationship with the union. Because of that relationship, among other things, there's a credit union. It's Rancho Federal Downey Credit Union, and we could deposit for some of our stores there. They did a pilot program. They allowed 10. They capped it there. We were able to push it up to 12, and then we're going to try and eventually get banking over there. So it's nice. They let us deposit. It takes away a lot of the complications. The other really good thing is we can run debit cards at our stores, which increases the average purchase price, and who needs all the cash lying around if you could avoid it. So the early discussions have started. They haven't gone outside of Long Beach yet, but we have a really good relationship with them. The guy who I mentioned, Adam, his name is Adele, that's why he goes by Adam, but between him and I think we would be the most likely ones to get a concession account, so we're working on that. But as far as his question goes, there isn't, it's not going into one account. Each individual thing has one account. We're just kind of doing a grand accounting to know where
consolidation.
Where we're out. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coops, go ahead.
So, a client comes into your Artesia location in Bellflower and is under the impression he's gonna buy recreational cannabis, and you announce to him, listen, we're doing medicinal stuff only, but I can send you to my store in Long Beach, and you can get what you need there. Is that gonna happen?
Well, the first thing we try and do is sign them up. So I could actually send the entire record. We've just out of our own personal data and just to have a record of it, so we know what the missed opportunities are. And then some people, they don't come, but of everybody who shows up, we try and get them all to get a medical card. There's a bunch of ways to do it online and different stuff like that. I think just more or less there's like 25, 30 people showing up a day for recreational, and it varies day to day, maybe 20 to 30. We're getting about 6 or 7 of them to sign up. If they insist on leaving, then, we tell them, hey, don't go down there to Artesia, go down to Cherry. It's also connected. But our first objective is to sign them up, and we're pushing that really hard. The good thing is if we sign them up, and we're not allowed by law to pay for their medical card, that's a violation of the rules. However, we are allowed to give them a discount on their first purchase. So in order to, people, some of the customers are price sensitive, so you got to pay $40-50 to get a medical card. So we'll give them, more or less, I don't know exactly how it works. If they buy a certain amount, we give them almost the whole entire thing credited, because the idea is once they get the medical card, we already are just starting to get return patients. So if we can get them to sign up, I feel like that guy is going to be a one-year patient. So the battle is really in that moment when they come to the store and they're like, oh man, and they're going through it. This is because they assume, everybody just kind of assumes because of 2000, the law that passed in 2018 that everything is wrecked. So you got to have the conversation with them, and then the idea is to get them signed up. But there's no doubt that Bellflower is losing business over to Long Beach. Like I said, my friend Johnny B, he's got Long Beach Collective or North Long Beach Collective on, I think it's Artesia and around Paramount. Assuming that we're probably losing more business there than guys driving down to, the Connected. We do have some pull with our product, but there's no doubt that there's tax dollars, just objective, not a lobbying, point, just black and white tax dollars that are leaving Bellflower because of that issue.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, very good. Okay, we're gonna call in the next applicant,
The next applicant is CaliMed.
CaliMed.
CaliMed submitted a video. Would you like that to be played first?
Please.
Is that part of the 10
Jean
minutes?
Gonzalez has been in the cannabis industry for 12 years and has experience in both retail and cultivation. Jean's current retail storefront, known as Los Angeles Kush, has been a breakthrough for the industry and shows he is an ideal candidate with all the capabilities for this position. As you walk into our storefront, you can see that we have a spacious and comfortable lobby for our guests' convenience. We offer a plethora of seating, as well as multiple TV displays for our patients to browse the menu before going into the showroom. Upon entering the showroom, our signature blue floors and white product cases immediately catch our customers' attention. You can see all of our product nicely displayed in the 3-tier glass cases. We have 6 SKUs that present various vendors' products to our customers in their own unique way. Moving to the back of the showroom, we enter a secured area through an access-only door. As you enter, you immediately walk into the break room for the employees. To the right of the break room, we have the men's and women's restrooms. In the back of the house, we have multiple workstations as well as secured safes. Only authorized personnel is allowed to access the safes. We have 2 office spaces for our management. Each office has full access to our security cameras to ensure our safety and for our management to make sure the shop runs smoothly. The third office space is occupied by a third-party cannabis delivery service company called Herb, whom we also utilize to deliver our store products to our customers. Our packaging team operates out of the back room of our facility. Our micro license allows us to manufacture our products in our retail space legally. Overall, our duty to Los Angeles is to inspire and curate the cannabis community through providing the best quality products from flower to fashion. As you can see, Los Angeles Kush has demonstrated Jean's capabilities of running a successful dispensary. His expectations are high for CaliMed Group Incorporated and will only exceed any limitations Los Angeles Kush may have. As we take a look at the 3D exterior concepts of CaliMed Group Incorporated, the building will be white, with large open windows and drought-tolerant landscaping. Calumet Group Incorporated is located at the crossroads of Clark and Somerset in the city of Bellflower. This location offers a distinct entrance and exit for our customers to easily find, while it is also discreet enough to not disturb surrounding neighborhoods. The entire lot is closed off to ensure there is no disturbance to the residents nearby. This location also offers ample parking, which consists of 47 parking spaces. Customers want a convenient and smooth experience, in which we can be sure to deliver through our parking and presentation. Gene Gonzalez has been in the cannabis industry for 12 years and has experience in both retail and cultivation. Gene's current retail storefront, known as Los Angeles Kush, has been a breakthrough for the industry and shows he is an ideal candidate with all the capabilities for this position. As you walk into our storefront, you can see that we have a spacious and comfortable lobby for our guests' convenience. We offer a plethora of seating, as well as multiple TV displays for our patients.
The presentation. Thank you for catching that, Jeff. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and staff, my name is Kirk Kartosian. I'm the representative for Calumet and for Gene Gonzalez, who apologizes for not being able to be here. He was looking forward to seeing all of your beautiful faces this evening. He's on a trip with his family out of the country and apologizes for not being able to make it. That being said, I do want to keep this presentation relatively concise and just really barrel down to the economics and also to reemphasize some of the issues that may have been points of contention or concern or just unknowns. And I haven't met the young lady who spoke earlier, but she seemed to speak to some of the points we wanted to hit this evening as it relates in particular to students walking in the area, which Mr. Mayor, you mentioned, and the neighborhood commercial area, which I actually agree with Councilmember Hamada about it being a neighborhood commercial area. So I would not contend that. There was a letter that was submitted by email, but if it's okay, I'd like to resubmit this. And I have a copy of a letter from a Ms. Edith.
We had it all.
We
up
have
here.
that.
We have it.
You have it.
We have that, yeah.
Yeah, she
But
loves you.
I want to highlight a few things that she pointed out in there. In particular, there was an effort by parents in that neighborhood near Somerset and Clark petitioning the school district for a crossing guard at that location. And as a result of the study that was done at this corner, it did not qualify because not enough students used that intersection for walking. It required 40 students to cross in the area within a 2-hour window. And these are her words, but they were denied that request from the school district. And that's in this letter that she has signed. She also wanted to make it this evening, but she's in Dallas, Texas. But in particular, she supports Mr. Gonzalez's efforts here at this site. We did invite all of you, I believe, to visit LA Kush, which is also owned and operated by Mr. Gonzalez. 3 of you were able to attend, and we'd still love to have you, Mr. Mayor, to come and see this facility. I think all of you agree, without me putting words in your mouths, it's a very professional, it's a proven professional operation that Mr. Gonzalez runs, and he could easily replicate that or exceed what you viewed there. He has 12 years of experience in total, 2+ years there on the 182 South Alvarado site, and he'd be really excited about delivering this site. Some of the other keynotes, and I think 21 spaces is great. Like one of the other applicant is indicating there are 47 spaces here on this property. This is a known blighted corner. I won't say blighted area, but I do think the area as a whole has some uptick left in it. And Ms. Rodriguez even indicates that she thinks it will hopefully encourage more investment in the Somerset and Clark area. Mr. Gonzalez would like to point out that he lives in the city of Downey. He's local. It's your border city. And he can readily and easily get here. He is the managing member of LA Kush and is out of that facility daily. he would also be in this facility daily as well, if you so chose him to be. As it comes back, and I think the slide indicated by the presentation earlier showed in guaranteed tax revenues what the applicant indicated. Mr. Gonzalez would like to increase that. He's given me authorization to do so. So for the two, even though he has submitted plans and is intent on getting approval this evening, upon approval, within 90 days, he believes he can get a temporary certificate of occupancy. But regardless of that, in 2019, he will make a guarantee payment of $200,000 to the city of Bellflower as the equated value of those cannabis tax revenues. And he will go to $300,000 in 2020, and he will also increase by 25% what anyone potentially is willing to commit to. And the reason he does that is he's sharpened his pencil, and he's in an effort to do what he promised, which is to consolidate the licenses to manufacture, distribute, and to dispense from this facility. He believes he can generate tax revenues that would equate $300,000 a year or more to the city of Bellflower. So
Can you clarify that again? Because when I was reading the oh no, go ahead. It's your presentation.
Yeah, 2000. No, but I think that's fair. I have no
No,
problem.
you got 10 minutes, so I don't want to take away any second from your 10
Right.
minutes. Go ahead.
I'm nearing the end because I'm happy to take any questions, but I do want to hit those points about the fact that dispensaries, although we all are becoming more and more educated on them. These are medicinal facilities. They do not have the same signage and branding that attract children, and no children are allowed within these facilities. It's unlike bars and restaurants where there could be a lot of alcohol consumed and children could be within the premises. So that's very important. And we'd like to open up for any questions, and I can clarify any of the economics that you'll probably be asking about. So thank you for your time, and we also, the voice that you heard here this evening, even though she probably won't come up, Lindsay is also here on behalf of our team at LA Kush and Calumet.
Right on
Great
time.
timing.
Right on time. Perfect timing.
It's all about timing.
Yeah, so if you can clarify the economics, because when I was reading the certification on liquidated damages, I was spinning my head. I couldn't understand it.
That's why I'm going to clarify it right here. So $200,000 in guarantee for the year 2019,
Regardless of when it opens. Okay.
Regardless of when it opens.
Okay.
And $300,000 in 2020.
Minimum,
guaranteed.
Okay.
Going forward, we believe we're going to hit that in 2020. I don't know if that will be the case in 2019, but the guarantee stands.
Okay. And hopefully more.
Hopefully more.
Okay.
I think that's what everyone here is being pretty fair, I think, in trying to project and to estimate. But if anyone told you they know for sure, they'd be lying.
Okay. All right. Good. So my question to you is, you have your manufacturing permit. When was it granted? Randy?
April.
Was it April? The manufacturing permit
Of 20.
It was last
18.
year.
It
It was
was
in
last year.
2018,
Okay.
yeah.
So since
It might have
last year,
been
what have you
August.
done on the property?
Well, it's been twofold, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Gonzalez, but he has a lease and an escrow. His intent is
No, physical in terms of improvement to make sure that the manufacturing happen. Is the manufacturing already happening?
No. Much like others, he's made some major investments in tying up and securing property, but the work that's been done has been all in soft costs to the tune of about $175,000 for plans and permit-ready plans that have been submitted by the city. So we're in a little bit more of a fortunate place than maybe one of the other applicants who still needs to go through that process.
So there's been no improvements made on the property at this point?
No, there haven't been to date other than the submittal of the plans.
The plans, okay. And that's been since last April of last year?
I think it was August of last year.
August of last
if I'm
year, so
not
almost a
mistaken.
year.
I'm going to take her word for it.
And nothing has happened yet, okay.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing's happened. We spent
Well, in terms of
hundreds
construction.
well, I think we're all here for a reason, and that's because we want to consolidate. The dispensary allows most of these operators to be economically viable and feasible. And I'm not going to lie to you, but that's what we're here for today. And that's essentially.
Well, not totally, because we have other licensees that don't have dispensary, and yet they're doing some construction work, they're doing some business already, you know.
Right, but this
So
is
like
this is
let's
a
say-
retail site. The economics of the real estate are a little bit different.
Let me ask you, since you brought it up,
Yeah.
so the guarantees you just made, is that the dispensary only, or is that the dispensary plus the other facility?
No, this is for the dispensary.
Period. 200,000,
we have
300,000 is the dispensary only.
Correct.
And then there's additional revenues on top with the.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, any question? Mr. Kurtosian? Ray?
No, I don't
No?
have any right now.
Okay, Mr. Coops?
Yeah, Mr. Cartosian, you mentioned something about a 25%. What was that 25%? What was, did I interpret that?
You
to
heard
mean
it.
Yeah, anybody that makes an offer, I'll raise it by 25%? Or what did you say?
I'm speaking for the applicant,
All
but
right.
that's the case.
Say that again.
He feels that he's willing to put that guarantee for the 2020 year at 300,000, or I get that would go for 2019 too.
The 25%, is that over the highest amount? that
Yes.
anybody else
Over the highest bidder.
It's like a bid. If we're in a
heard
bidding
auction.
war,
It's a bidding process here.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard the same thing.
so this is like the auction here. But he feels. I do have a point where I've been told to stop. By the way,
Well,
we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No, go ahead, Mr. Coops, it's your
No,
time.
no, that was what I
But
wanted.
you,
time.
yes.
I heard the
You heard it
25% kind of
properly.
under your breath, but I felt as though it was a challenge to offer that if we get into a bid war, I know that 25% is still behind the lines that we
Yes.
can offer.
That is correct, and I have the authorization of Mr. Gonzalez to share that.
He'll just have to cut his vacation short.
He might have to. There might not be any more vacations.
All right, that's all I have.
Mr. Hamada?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, Kurt, thanks for coming. I'm going to stick more to land use. The money thing, yeah,
Sure.
okay, I can deal with it, and yeah, it sounds nice and kind of stuff. And I think you're familiar with the term slotting, because I think
We showed
the
it
proposal,
there.
yeah,
There are
it's the
some
fee. So there's
slotted
displays
vendor-
of
Correct.
other companies, so to
Mhm.
speak, and then they rent space, so to speak, and that's all part of your revenue generation, and that's going to be reported to the
it's
city.
a
and-
monthly licensing fee. It
Yeah.
gets accounted as income, and it would be reported. Again, I can't speak to all of how those agreements work, but I do understand them to be license agreements, and they're revocable by the permittee at any time.
So, and I think real estate and, location, and you try to figure out the big picture for a spot to locate. And as I just termed, it's a neighborhood area, neighborhood shopping area at best. And, it had some, history. It had a small pharmacy for many decades, Gregory's Pharmacy.
Well, that was
Look
across
at down
the
there.
street.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
across the street,
yeah.
And, that was probably one of the major shopping centers in town, but back in the day. And the mention of kids in the area. And thank you for this letter. And yes, I think I heard from the school district that, it's a parental thing. My kid, if you want to make it to school, go this way, and you don't have to go the shortest way possible. Just, from, like, as a parent, go the safe route, so to speak. So, as I mentioned for the other applicant earlier about, characteristics of a great location and what's, it's going to make it work. And if you don't get the traffic, and because nobody's going to, you usually don't travel to the smaller shop areas. Hopefully they do, because there's some good services in that area. But it serves locally, real local. So beyond parking, there's some space, and I think one of the spaces that you show on the diagram, I think a dental group just opened. So they've been marketing already. They plan to be there a while.
They've been there for a while.
Yeah, but I think it's changed hands. Maybe that's what it's done.
That's what dents do. They sell
their
clients to another.
Yeah, I know. My dentist did that too. So. So just maybe get more input on why you feel this spot is the spot to have a successful dispensary.
Fair question. As you alluded, I am a commercial real estate broker. I've been licensed with the state since 2006. In particular, I've done all the forward planning for Porto's Bakery for the last 12 years, since 2007. I've been their broker of record in Downey, Buena Park, and West Covina. So families and clients take my advice on real estate pretty seriously. I'm very careful not to put them in the wrong places where they're not going to be successful long term. It's not always about traffic counts. It is about being in a known area. It's about safety. It's about parking. It's also about where can you acquire real estate at a value that more of the money is behind you than in front of you. So Mr. Gonzalez's gamble is he thinks this area is going to improve over time. He thinks it has been a often neglected area of the city, and he was able, even though it wasn't cheap, he was able to secure it through a rather digestible economic means. And when I think of real estate, I'm always thinking in relative value. There are a lot of people who own real estate of their homes on the west side in Beverly Hills, and they're buying in Downey and Bellflower, Paramount, and Long Beach because they see value here. They know more of the money is coming behind, and maybe we haven't realized those values yet. So in large part, I will go back to that I think this is great for a number of reasons. It can be a campus, which is what Mr. Gonzalez has purported it will be. It will be a campus. There will be synergistic value to the on-site manufacturing, internal, essentially, distribution here, and maybe to other businesses as well. And really, the last part of it is you have to create a brand and value to your customers, and they will come if you are providing that value. I don't know if, and I'll leave on this note, but if anyone's ever heard, there's a fried chicken place called Howlin' Ray's, and they just announced today that they're coming to the city of Pasadena, but their current location is in Chinatown in a very small arcade commercial center where no one can see it. No one can see it driving by, and even if you walk into this arcade center, it's very hard to find until you see the line about 2 hours long, because their customers demand it, they provide value, and people keep coming back. Now, I don't think that there are going to be lines outside here, but the point is that a business, it's in a business's interest to create that value. And Mr. Gonzalez feels that by opening up both his business and his books, he's shown himself to have at least as much, if not more, capability than anyone else who's applying. And we love the site at the southeast corner of Somerset and Clark for those reasons. And we have no concerns about it being problematic for children and or traffic, essentially, because they'll all be parking on site, not creating a fury outside. And that's very important. So I do think on a last note, the city made a very wise decision in embracing, these were the residents, and I know you guys are following that out, but of embracing cannabis here in these select types of uses in areas. And we can't hide that. That is part of what this agency has, is in charge of carrying out, of enacting. And we hope we're a part of that, and appreciate you asking and considering Cali Med and Mr. Gonzalez in this regard. But I wholeheartedly believe everything I shared with you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. That's one more question here. In the application, it says that the escrow is estimated to close on April 9, 2019.
Well, that's from the previous
Has it closed already?
No, it will close as soon as the approval comes, so it can close within 7 days.
Okay, so it's subject to getting a dispensary permit?
He has that leeway,
Okay.
but that's something that's been worked out between parties.
Okay, just want to clarify that. All right, very good. Any more question?
No.
With that, okay, so if you can
Thank you for your
sit
time.
back and relax
Appreciate
and
it.
get ready for any response
you.
later on. Anyone would like to speak on this application? For or against? Or any question, just curious?
Well, I'm curious why people are against it on Somerset and Clark. I mean, in District 3, which you are, I don't know why they would think it's more dangerous, because we've had marijuana for decades. Why is it now a lot more dangerous now we have a store? And in this district, I think there's a lot more child molesters in your district than anything else. So why is it marijuana a lot more dangerous than, say, because we have literally on things all through our district, child molesters and everything else. And now they think marijuana is more dangerous than all the child molesters we have in that district. I'm curious why. I know you're against it. And that
Against what? Against
having that the dispensary on Somerset
the location.
and Clark.
It's on the record because of the students going by.
Yeah,
the
but
area.
he's just said that they don't have enough students even going by there to even put a crosswalk. So how many students are we really?
It's the crosswalk, Peter.
I know,
you know,
because
okay.
even one student you think is too much.
But there are students. Have you been in that area? Have you watched students go by?
No, I've been
you have
there.
not. Okay, I've been there.
Well, there's less than 40, because that's what you need to put a crosswalk
per hour.
per hour. And if they did give it to the kids, since this is still illegal, but they're not going to prosecute the federal, they can just close it down immediately.
Okay.
So I don't know how that.
All right. Thanks for your question. Anyone else?
Is Peter for or against it?
It's just a
All right.
question.
Carlos Lozano. I just had a question about the businesses that are currently there. There's a sewing basket, J&B Beauty Supply, the beauty parlor, and chiropractor, and then the dentist. Are they going to be replaced by the dispensary, or are they just taking out the old El Toro marketplace?
Okay, that's a question for the applicant.
Okay.
Any other question?
That's all I had.
Okay. All right, more questions here. Come on up. Oh,
I just wanted to respond to Peter's comment. There are kids going by there every morning, and it's not just 40. My whole neighborhood, all these kids go to the schools down there. So maybe it doesn't warrant a traffic
crossing guard.
But it's more than 40 kids coming to and from school every day.
okay. All right, thank you. Oh, you were
there's
not.
always
oh.
one. There's
I
always
didn't think
one.
I was going to talk, but I didn't know it was going to
Share.
come so close to home.
All right. Well, we're gonna take the time and swear you in, Cheryl. Can you give Cheryl 5 demerits?
Hey,
Go ahead, raise your right hand, please.
hey, we're gonna give her a pass because of that water commission.
She's
You
my
deserve it.
she's my commissioner.
You deserve it. I know. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in the matter pending before the city council shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
I live in the area between Somerset, Rosecrans, and Bellflower and Clark, and I don't see that many kids walking around in that area. I mean, I'm in and out. That dentist office there has been my dentist office for years and years, and I enter and exit my neighborhood that way constantly, and I don't think school kids are a problem there. I've not noticed it. I haven't had to ever stop for them. I think it's a non-issue in that area.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Can we invite the applicant again? There was a question posed on regarding the utilization of the rest of the property.
First of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you for swearing her in again. That was nice testimony. I appreciate that. As it relates to the tenants, they are on month to month, and they will be phased out over time. The plan is to convert the entire footprint of the property to
All the way to Sewing Basket?
the entire property.
Okay.
So all tenants have been notified that they will not receive long-term leases.
But the dentist not.
The dentist is on a separate parcel, and no, has a 5-year lease, and I think about 4+ years left with the new book of clients, the new dentist, and it'll be at least that time to even consider it. But they don't seem to have a problem. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. It's now 8:45. I think we're going to be here for about 9. Okay. Can we take a 5-minute break?
You want?
I need a break.
Okay.
We're going to be for another 2 hours.
Say please.
We're gonna vote against you on your health rate.
I thought you were worried
You got
about us.
a 3-1.
Usually you have somebody who say, yeah, thank you, thank you.
That's only 8:45. It's 9:45.
And 9:45, no, I've been watching the tick, tick, tick. You've been busy. Oak.
I know, I can tell. Especially that kind. You remind me of Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman. Yeah. I knew the answer, but I figured I'll just let you guys move it. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Oh, Mayor was nice. It was gone too far, though. Yeah. Yeah. Revocation is going to be a recommendation? I think we need to pay, revocate, make a city ordinance.
Applicant, and we're done.
After over 6 months, needs to be automatically gone. Come on, somehow.
There's only 3.
Can't do that? Nah. The burger in it. I should have been in legislation. I could change. I can make all of them. Oh, yeah. You were sitting there and watched you the whole time. You're just taking it in. You're just like, God, is this really going on? Do I really got to do this? How far is this going to go?
Isn't your wife at home with a
I
baby?
can just see it. The wheels turning in there. Okay. I gotta put this guy in his place.
Matthew Brown.
That's why I laughed.
Leonard in District 3. They have a lot of child molesters in District 3.
All right, we're reconvening the meeting. We're now hearing the third applicant. Ms. Stover?
The third applicant is Joint Forests. We have John Barrett and Heather Alexander.
Hello, Mayor, City Councilman.
We appreciate you guys considering us again. Thanks for having us.
Good evening.
Fourth time's a charm.
Or fifth, or who's counting at this point? This may look a little familiar. We'll try to breeze through what we can. Oh, thank you. Okay, this is the parcel. We have plenty of parking. Be located in the building here in front of the red arrow. Potentially what the waiting area could look like. Most of this is pretty easily done from how it sits currently. And then the showroom area, we've done a little bit to kind of retrofit that to look somewhat like that already. And kind of our main points.
We kept it short since, I mean, we've been up here 4 times. You guys know the building. You know we have a great location, parking or whatever. But just kind of the highlights of Joint Forces was the first business open. We opened May 8th and did our first tax dollar May 8th too. We've done almost 10,000 in sales on distribution alone in the past month. We have paid the most in fees to the city. We were the only applicant that applied for all 4 to start out. We're the only ones that have maintained 3 licenses. So I just like to, make that known that of the money that we've paid to the city already.
Applicants whose owners will be there daily. We have no other cannabis operations outside of the city that would take away from our Bellflower operations, making us the most committed to Bellflower. We're not a franchised style operation. We don't have 20 other licenses spread out across California that would draw our attention and consumer base away from Bellflower. For example, why would Long Beach residents drive out of the way to come eat at McDonald's in Bellflower where there's plenty of McDonald's in every city? Joint Forces is more of a farm-to-table style operation. We chose Bellflower to be our home in attempts of full integration.
Back to our location, I think we have the best location out there. We're one of the closest to the 91 and the 605. We're right off of Main Street, but just tucked back behind just enough to where you don't have any kids passing. I actually look out our front office all the time, and I've maybe seen 1 kid ever pass that in the last month. Not even sure he was a kid. I just saw a younger guy with a backpack.
Have the unique advantage of being the only applicant that's hands-on with our medicine during the entire plant cycle and product life. It gives us an unparalleled understanding of the plant's compounds and how to manipulate them to best suit the patient's needs. We've selected our genetics and coupled that with our manufacturing and distribution. If awarded the retail permit, our products won't leave Bellflower prior to purchase.
And I'd like to touch a little bit more on that. You guys are not recreational right now. We are medical. We're using it as a medicine. None of the other owners have grown the actual medicine. That's the only thing we've done for the last 12 years. So that's how we feel like gives us a real good experience, is because we truly know the product we're selling. We're not just throwing something on a shelf. If it sells, great. If it doesn't, we call somebody and tell them to bring another product. We usually are the person that they call to change out the products. And then last, it also adds to we are the only certified product. We're the only single source here. So by allowing us to be fully integrated, we're able to cut cost and be able to provide a quality product at a lower price. And I think you guys all that are in the retail coops and Councilmember Ray, being able to supply a quality product at an affordable price really will help with sales. As far as the tax revenue, which I know that's what you guys are most I'm worried about. As you can see, we've handed you our projections, our guarantees, which looked a little bit better an hour ago. But, you know, we too, we feel like we'll be able to open up a lot quicker because as you've seen from our building, you know, all of it's cosmetics. The building that we would like to use has already been approved by the city and has been approved by the state. You know, you came out, you verified it. I don't imagine there being much other work we would have to do to that building. In the first year, you know, we're guaranteeing a minimum of $125,000, regardless of when we're open end of the year. For 2020 and 2021, we're guaranteeing at minimum $250,000 per year. Ours are more split up into the equally quarterly payments. And we're ready for questions. I know you guys know our building, know our location, and I know you guys each have a specific questions you guys like to ask, so we'd
Okay.
ready for them.
All right, you're done. Very good. Thank you so much. I guess my first question is on year 2. Are you gonna match the previous application and add 25%? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know if we'll be able to do that. Like you said, we're a smaller company, but I think that's also what will help us. You know?
I'm just kidding about it. Can you tell us? Do you have a photo of what you have now? Because the one you showed is an artist rendering. I'm very cautious about artist rendering now since I learned my lesson. Okay. Do you have a picture of what? I know what you have. I've seen it a month or so ago.
I was gonna say.
Aside from the video we emailed.
Okay, it will be nice for the benefit of the
presentation.
audience here to see what you have.
Essentially, everything you see in it, the painting, the lights, or the
okay.
color of it, that's all there. It's just, the tables that we have in there now maybe aren't as spiffy and as shiny as the ones that we'd like to do. But, we just wanted to show how quickly of a soft opening, if anything, that we could do.
Okay. So right now you have 3 licenses, cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution. So you mentioned about the first to be able to generate a business in Bellflower that's distribution, right?
That was our distribution.
Okay. Have you done anything on manufacturing and cultivation?
The manufacturing, we were still going back with the back and forth, but we have already prepped that building. We sent a picture last time, the meeting we had. We've already cleaned, polished the floors. We've painted. We've already hooked up the lights.
So have you done any other tenant improvement on the property? For the cultivation side.
Oh yes, lots of it. We've done demo. We've done all the demo. We've cleaned up all the floors. Concrete, patched some. We're in the process of epoxying it right now. We will start concrete work at the end of this week. It took a couple of weeks to get in basically the piping that we will need to start on that. But it's a clean slate. All the drywall and all that stuff's been taken down, and now the electrical's getting pulled out, the old electrical, and then we're prepping to put the new electrical in, and then framing. And then once the electrical and the framing is, we basically just got to hang some lights, throw a couple ACs in there.
So how much have you invested so far in terms of construction, equipment, lighting, all this kind of stuff?
Fortunately, we've already
Roughly.
spent almost $925,000.
925 already. Okay.
I'd like to also point out that
we have the provisional, as Elliot
For
was
the
saying. So the minute
manufacturing
that manufacturing, cultivation, or any of those are ready to operate, next day we can work.
Okay. In one of the previous hearing that we had here, there was a question about your hiring a consultant. Can you explain that?
Yes, we've basically got.
What is your plan?
That I think we weren't wording it right. Just like every single other applicant in here says that we're going to hire a manager that has the experience. There's a lot of staffing agencies out there that is helping. With managers of dispensaries that have shut down. I think that's the issue now. There's only around 600 legal dispensaries, so there was a lot of people, a lot of managers of very popular dispensaries that got shut down and are no longer, and they're looking for jobs. And that's kind of, we're going the same route as everybody else. We're going to hire somebody very experienced in it. But that's when it kind of comes back to the fact that we truly grow the medicine. We know the ins and outs. We know what the customers are liking. As a wholesaler of cannabis, I feel that you get a better knowledge of what the customer wants as opposed to one shop putting it on the table. Either people buy it or they don't, and then they call somebody like me, okay, hey, this product sold really well, this product didn't, and then we change it. So I feel like the experience of actually growing the medicine and being able to explain it to the medical patients is a more valuable than having true maybe cannabis retail experience. Heather has really good retail experience. She was a general manager of a restaurant, you know, dealing with customers, setting schedules, doing payrolls, doing inventory, and all that. I think will translate just as well to cannabis. And then the fact that she's actually helped me grow over the last decade, so that her knowledge in that will really kind of set us apart in our dispensary.
Okay. So your intention all along is not to hire a consultant, it's basically to hire a manager to help you out.
Yes, that was, you know, obviously she's a GM, you know, everybody's going to need more managers. We just thought, you know, we know a couple dispensaries who, you know, assistant managers are looking to move up, and we were kind of going to hire them away. To be honest, we just wanted to name drop a little bit, and then I think it got rolled out of context that like, oh, these people are going to run it, you're going to call your store this, and they're going to be the people that really run it. It really was just like, no, we just want to show you that we've been in this industry so long that we know most of these dispensaries in, you know, Los Angeles area and Southern California, and we know those managers, so that we feel like we've, you know, learned a lot of stuff over the 10, 12 years we've been out here.
Yeah, okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you. Any question of Heather or Jonathan?
If you were to get the dispensary permit, how long before you would open, do you think? Yeah.
I think, depending on the state application, obviously that I've heard, you know, we've all heard that it's taken up to 6 months. Things have started moving faster. We got our manufacturing provisional in under 60 days, and people were telling us it would take 6 to 9 months. And then, you know, because we've been applying for the retail since April 8th, we have already had a company, MMLG, finish our paperwork to apply for state. And we keep thinking, you know, when we get it handed, write the $1,000 check, let's apply to the state. You know, as he said, it's a process. But we've already started on that because we thought we would get it in April 8th. So we have that in position. And then as you see from our build out, you know, a lot of it's just simple cosmetics. We you know, we're not.
The building would be ready in what, 60 days?
60 days.
60, okay.
You know, we're not adding a room, we're not tearing down a room, we're really not doing anything. We're just, you know, bringing in custom woodwork, maybe a different couple, little bit of lightings, but the power's there, the safe's there, the cameras are there, bathrooms there, all the good stuff you would need.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hamada?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, welcome back.
Hey,
We're just, we'll be at it again here. I've been asking, all the applicants about slotting. Are you familiar with that term? On
Yes.
how it's been used out there? And do you have any plans to incorporate such a
We do
technique
too.
to expand your revenue?
You know, a lot of what makes a retail successful are the brands that they can carry in their store. And, you know, some of these top quality brands, some that are in stores right now, we've had talks with contracting to basically being the sole provider of those products in Bellflower. So that way, all the shops in Bellflower don't go and carry the top 15 brands that you read on a piece of paper, something to separate us from the group in that prospect. But obviously that is the future of coming. I've been to LA Kush's store with Gene. You know, I understand what he's doing. That's a really nice concept. That's kind of the supermarket, you know, slotting symbol. You know, all of these businesses are starting to work together. So if you're finding anybody in then retail sales period, you know, this is kind of what they're doing, slotting, advertising, and all that good stuff. So we definitely think that'll be a big part too. And like I said, we're trying being a benefit of being a grower is that everybody's product that people sell, we know most of those growers. You know, the actual cultivators of this medicine is not a very big group of people that can consistently grow the product. Because the most difficult aspect of growing the medicine is the fact it takes 4 months of day in, day out work. I mean, one day something doesn't go right, you might have to throw that medicine away. One thing here, one thing there, now all of a sudden the terpenes and the CBD are not as potent as can be. So I think the fact that we've known that, and then that cultivators know that we appreciate that product and are maybe willing to pay a little bit more for that product because we understand that, I think we'll be able to carry a lot of brands that other dispensaries in Bellflower won't be able to carry.
Now, you have the entire facility there, right? So you don't conflict with other uses. You're just working towards trying to get it all prepared and
yes,
getting ready. Okay. Right now, have you noticed your traffic increase tremendously, or not? Well, maybe I wouldn't use the term tremendously, but
not the traffic. I would say that one of the tenants that we kicked out was Eurotech. I know some of you council members know them really well, and when there used to be spots available in the street, are now taken up by their residents, their employees. So I think that helps out of us getting back behind the gate, but being able to have up to 50 parking spots behind the gate. But no, I mean, like you said, we work out of the single building, and our office is literally 5 feet from the sidewalk, and we always keep the blinds open because we're always worried about who comes up and down there. And other than a few people pushing carts for the recycling facility, which I think us being there will help with that aspect, because we will have a guard standing out by that gate. But no, I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen any kids walking down. I thought I saw one, but it could have just been a young guy with a backpack.
The only people who have come to the door are either vendors, people looking
Quite a bit of that.
if there's people in the area that I could take some phone numbers and pass them on to you.
If you guys have
I
buildings.
may still have some phone numbers to pass on to you. And then we actually had people come to the door asking if we were a retail location that they could buy cannabis from. So even though we are off the beaten path,
We get a lot of the Bachelor Button
trickle
folks
down.
coming over every other day thinking they can buy cannabis from us.
Oh.
So it's been kind of a funny reoccurring joke with some of these people that come over that, it's like.
And you don't have any signage, right?
No, we have one. They just don't know the difference between a distributor and a
Oh, I
retail.
see, I
They're
see.
like, well,
Okay.
you're a distributor. Can't you distribute to me? And I'm like, well, if you had a license in a building, so. But that's pretty much all the people that come by.
okay. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Coops?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the figure that keeps rattling in my mind is that $925 that you said you spent on improving the property up until this point.
Oh, on the actual property? No, I mean like what we've spent up to date on approving the property, not counting rent. Maybe a little less than 300,000.
What was the $925 about? What,
The 925 was, I thought you meant up to this date, fees,
no,
rent.
I think what the mayor was asking, what you spent on actual
Improving
physical
the property.
improvements.
I apologize. I misunderstood. We've only spent maybe a little less than 300,000, I think.
Okay.
What will
And
it
that's
take to-
mainly electrical work. We've pulled out all the electrical. That wasn't easy. It's all run underground up to the front units or whatever. Demoing actually cost a lot. We like I had mentioned last time, we kind of got into some of these units and realized that a couple of these people built 2-story homes and were living in there. And had like tore up pretty much everything. We had to replace a little bit of the wood on a couple of the roofs due to people hanging equipment on it, I guess, so they could work out. It's kind of been a unique deal on that aspect.
Someone was showering over the toilet.
And then, a couple of the people were auto body shops, so, getting the equipment out that they left. We got left with a lot of lifts, car lifts, a lot of good things like that. So that's pretty much where we're at.
What do you think you'll spend to finish up, get your cultivation, get your manufacturing?
1.2 million.
That's, and I'm under the impression that you're not paying rent until you get this operation going? No.
No. My landlord is there on the 5th every day sharply, expecting that payment.
Nothing's free with him.
Not with Jerry.
With taxes, we've, a lot of the tenants left, a lot of oil laying around, we had to pay to get that taken out, paint, Jerry's held our feet to the fire at any time he could.
He's been pretty fair. I don't want that to seem like we're
Oh,
not
we know
pleased
him.
with our landlord. He's been fair.
Okay, but as far as the dispensary part, that won't require a lot of money in terms of physical changes to that building to get it going, will it?
No, because most of the changes are cosmetic. The ones that would be compliance have already been taken care of because it's the district now. So yeah, not a lot of changes would have to be done, and then for us to be able to do a quick open, and then we'll probably refine it, beautify it as time goes on.
Like you said, with the slotting, people are coming in and they're paying and they're designing their special area and stuff like that. So, it's like, obviously it'll always keep moving. If one person doesn't want to pay their slotting fee or whatever, the next person comes out, they'll adjust the lighting, the wood and all that. But for the most part, it's, we painted it, we did the floors, we just need to make it a lot nicer, we just set it up with a bunch of wood, kind of the MedMen style of, the cannabis will be out on the table so you can display reading it, somebody walking around with an iPad putting your orders in, so.
All right, well, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, so you can sit for a while and get ready to respond to any questions.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone else who have a question, comments, pros and cons about this application?
Hey, there's no other canvases outside of Bellflower. So do they think that's actually their strength? Because that doesn't mean, they just mean that they don't have any experience out of the things. And the what happens if they don't get this this license? Are they going to are we going to basically cause financial harm on them? Well, they're 900 something. They have 1.2 million. Is that? Well, I'd like to know actually more of this. How does not having products out of Bellflower make that? Is that one of their strengths? Can you put that up? The different ones they put up.
Which one?
They said they don't have any business
okay.
out of
So
Bellflower.
I'm
How's
sure
that? But that means they don't have
So
experience.
your question is that a strength or is that the weakness? So we'll let them respond to the
Because now
question.
they're up to 900 and something.
And your other question is about what?
No, nothing. Just that one. I'm just curious.
Just that one,
How would
okay.
they consider that a strength if
Or
they
a
only
weak-
have
or-
one business in Bellflower and they're hiring consultants?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyone else? Okay. You can come up. There's one question for you. You heard the question?
Thank you. I'm actually glad he asked that question.
Okay.
Because it kind of leads into what he's saying about not having other businesses elsewhere or whatever. So yeah, it doesn't take away, and it also allows us to focus in. And basically, what I always like to say is one of the most successful dispensaries in all of California is located in East LA. And the reason it's so busy is because it's the one place that the TLC/Jungle Boys, that they grow their products and they sell their products and they're award winning. And the only way you can get their product is you have to go to East LA to get it. And that was kind of our main goal here. You know, we have been in national magazines. We just recently won 3 more cups at the last High Times or whatever. We have been recognized 3 years, 2015, 2016, and 2017 as top 5 in the world by High Times on the quality of product we have. And that's kind of why we came to Bellflower and wanted the retail, is so that we can market that to people. You know, it's like, hey, this award-winning product and that we've grown, that you know we've won awards for, the only place you can get it is you have to come down to Bellflower to get it. And that's what I think is the main focus of Bellflower staff. That's how you're gonna do the real good tax revenue, not just having 3 locations somewhere and having walk-in business. It's the names that bring people in from Santa Ana, Long Beach, San Bernardino, people that want to drive down and get these products. And I think that's something that kind of sets us apart too. Like you said, you know, some of these other applicants have a lot of other stores. So, and those stores all carry the exact same product in all their stores, every single one. So when you have stores in Santa Ana, Long Beach, and all these, what's to make the customer want to come to Bellflower? You know, why would Long Beach's people want to come when you have those same stores here? Or why would you want to come from Santa Ana and all these other things when those stores are everywhere? So that's what I think we add, a true award-winning cannabis growers that will bring people to Bellflower for that product.
So do you think that your manufacturing aspect will help your dispensary in terms of the products that you're producing?
Yes, because, you know, we don't buy our cannabis from other people. We do breeding projects. We create our own strands, you know, types of different varieties of medicine that only we make. And so being able to have that bud or also having the different concentrates, I think is what's really going to bring people down here. You know, they're very hard to find strands grown by some of the best cultivators in nationally recognized magazines. And I think that's what's really going to sell, you know, bringing those real high dollar revenues for even medical, you know, because, you know, we are medicine and we grow some of the strongest medicine in the world. So
I think too, when you're cultivating, you get to choose genetics that have certain chemical makeups. So when you're talking that those are the active ingredients in your end product, we can cultivate specifically for certain purposes and manufacture for the same purposes. So we have a better control over the end product that the consumer gets. That's why we thought it was always so important to have a Bellflower certified product, is because we can manipulate it to the customer's needs from the very beginning. And choosing the right genetics matters to getting the extractions that you want and having the end product result at the retail location.
But until your cultivation is in motion and you start harvesting, have you identified sources that will give you the same quality of product that you're looking for?
well, that's what I was saying. Luckily, due to our awards winning, we do consulting jobs. So basically, as of right now, we're doing a very massive consulting job for Loudpack. And basically, my other partner that helps us grow is down there taking care of that full time. So, and we gave them a couple of limited of our strands. So they are literally allowing us to grow our strands by us under our knowledge down there. So I think that's in hopes of getting the retail. You know, we've that's what we did. We gave them a couple of strands that we probably wouldn't have if we didn't think that, but we wanted to be able to market that product as being like, hey, we grew it, the people that you know, ones where we grew it, and then we plan on, you know, supplying ourselves with that product.
You know that there's one permittee in Bellflower that has only got cultivation, right? BBNY?
Yeah.
Have you contacted them?
I was out at his place for an hour today,
really?
kind
Okay.
of going over and helping him. Like Elliot said, you know, I will give him that. You know, we're all kind of going to butt heads here, and we're going to maybe say some things about each other. But in the end, when everything's settled and we have the licenses, we will all come together. You know, we all will kind of help each other. But I've helped BBY for the last 2 or 3 months, you know, fixing any corrections in his grow rooms, the equipments he may use, maybe a couple of the strands, you know, they've kind of, you know, hired us to help them out in that sense. And, you know, anytime he has a question, I'm more than happy to help him, and he knows that.
Their owner, Bernice, and I go to events together when our schedules allow it. So we've tried to be friendly with them, and they've tried to help us. We've tried to help them in any way possible. And again, like Elliot said, I believe that all the applicants we'll treat each other this way when we're not pitted against each other for licensing purposes. So,
It's one big happy family, right?
yeah.
All right, very good. Any other
I got a
question? Go ahead.
Where do you grow, what area do you grow now?
As of right,
Yeah.
we currently don't have a grow for ourselves.
Well, I know here, but with your partner,
Greenfield.
you're obviously talking about your strains as,
Yes.
you know, award winning and all that.
Is that
It's Monterey County. It's Greenfield.
Monterey County, Greenfield. And then obviously, you know, each one of us is allowed to have 6 plants of our own at our house.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Oh,
you know,
really?
That's law. That's law.
So Heather is 6, you have 6 too?
You know, so, you know.
Is that the award winning plant?
Mhm. Just, please don't tell my landlord.
And what was the name of the magazine that gave you the award?
High Times Magazines.
That's what I thought you said.
Didn't they have a movie like that? Named by
Yes, like you said, it's been around a long time, but they run all the cups. They do most of that stuff. So, you know, most of the awards people have won and stuff like that are through them. They recognize them. So.
Okay. Any other question?
I'm done.
All right, very good.
We appreciate
Thank
the
you.
opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Coops to close the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. All right. So we were asked to do the force ranking. Okay.
Now, 1 is the best and 3 is the least. I don't want to get this backwards like golfer versus bowling. You know.
I believe 1's the best like last time.
All right. Well, I want to make sure they didn't change the rules here.
This is the example here, if you wanted a reminder.
So it's the okay. So we number them, or we just put the name?
On the left side, you would insert the name, sorry.
Okay.
And hand them to the city clerk when we're done.
EEL is first.
First.
Calumet
Okay.
presented second, and Joint Forces third. So those will be the names on the left side.
And Joint Forces is third, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we need to put our name and sign it?
Yes, please.
Do you need
Sign it too?
I don't have to
What
sign
outside?
it, just put your name.
Do you need our blood? Do you need our blood type too?
I'm just signing Sonny's name on it.
My D looks like an H.
Sonny gets 2 votes.
Are you collecting?
Sonny, it's not an essay test.
I'm writing my thesis.
Thesis.
See the clerk. Ta-da!
Mr. Mayor, there is no clear consensus.
Thank you very much.
Again?
Okay, again. All right. I'm glad we took a break. Can you assign points and weigh it? Yeah. No, but if you assign points, there's a chance it could be.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the council didn't previously discuss a ranking system. A point system. We can certainly propose that or provide you with suggestions the next time
okay,
around.
okay. No.
My suggestion, though, tonight is based upon the lack of a consensus, is hash it out amongst yourselves and come to a vote and see what happens.
I got it.
All right, so what's the, can you tell us the ranking, who ranked top? I'm assuming it's a tie. No? Wow.
Well, individual thinkers here, right?
I know.
Not, I can't, there's 4 of us, and there's 3 applicants. It can't be, there's got to be someone that didn't make it.
Joint Forces received 2 number 1 rankings.
Hold on.
Joint Forces received 2 number 1 rankings. EEL Holdings received 1 number 1 ranking, and Cali Med received 1 number 1 ranking.
I make a motion.
Wait a minute. So, let me just, before you
Okay.
make a motion. So Joint Forces 2,
Correct. 2 number 1.
2 number 1.
Two
So,
council pick.
EEL has 1, and then Calimed has 1.
Correct.
So right now, it's, although there is no clear majority, right now it's in favor of Joint Forces in terms of,
Yeah.
you have more.
I make a motion that we give the dispensary to Joint Forces.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Danton, seconded by Councilmember Hamada to grant the dispensary permit to
At least
Joint
it's
Forces.
not a tie.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
No.
Mayor Santinez.
Aye. Congratulations. Before you leave, do we have enough information for the resolution, City Attorney? Because there was some issue with the last resolution with Caliva. It wasn't captured. What happened was they made a commitment after the applicant was had the testimony, and I caught it today.
Oh, you got it today?
I caught
Okay.
it. So I don't want to go through the same process
Okay.
again. So before we let them leave, I want to make sure that we have enough information in terms of their commitment.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the only correction that needs to be done is to correct the title. There's a typo in the title. It should be representing Joint Forces, not representing Joint
Okay.
Forces. We're missing an N, but other than that,
Okay, but in terms of
Looks
liquidated
accurate.
damages, we have enough information?
yes,
Okay, that we can pass the resolution very clearly.
yes.
Okay, all right, so you're good to go. All right, thank you. All right, with that, we move on to council comments. Councilmember Dutton?
Due to time, I don't have any.
Okay, Councilmember Hamada?
I have a few, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Just quickly, on May 29th, I did have the opportunity to attend the Cal PUC public meeting here at Sims, and I'll just leave it at, it was interesting. That was it. And on June 1st, as a councilman Coops and I, we went to the Lions Club installation, so it was a great event. So, during this past week, I had the honor and pleasure to attend all 3 high school graduations, Somerset, Bellflower, and Mayfair, and to support the kids. And just a shout out to all the grads, 2019 seniors, congratulations on a great finish, and good luck in the future. And on the 6th, I attended the SCAG Transportation Committee. They were wrapping up some of their studies, the I-105 sustainability, workplace studies, and so on. So there's usually more to come with that. And Over this past week, I did have a chance to stop by Steelcraft a few times just to, partake in some of the things, and but mainly to listen to all the people there. Saturday night was packed, believe it or not, and there's just a lot of great comments about the business, and looking forward to the formal ceremony finally, and again, great success to Martin Howard and his team, and looking forward to having a long Steelcraft life here. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Coops?
Yeah, I think that the Steelcraft opening is a big deal for this week, and has been for the last, since we waited since last January. And we're still on for a dedication Thursday morning. Is that still going forward? And as you can see, the In-N-Out Burger's doing fine. They're keeping on schedule over there, so that'll be open shortly. And across the street, we've got Dunkin' Donuts doing the same thing. The street's almost done on widening. Mr. Gorecki's right on top of that. So the light standards are now moved back where they should be. So parking structure looking well. It looks a little bit like Stonehenge right now, or if you want to look like LAX, when you go through there and see all their pylons, we have the similar thing here in Bellflower.
You get 340 yards of concrete on Wednesday, so it'll look more like Stonehenge.
All right, there you go. Anyway, thank you very much, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I just want to point out that we're kind of fortunate right now, especially, well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We're fortunate, and yet it creates a lot of issue in terms of traffic on downtown Bellflower, especially, all the way to Artesia. There's so much traffic because for most of the time, it's only one lane only because of construction work happening. So please bear with us. It's a part of growing pains. After this major construction, I'm sure that you'll be delighted with the outcome of Bellflower Boulevard. Mr. Gorecki, if you can, there's been a question about the traffic signal on the Artesia on-ramp and off-ramp. I know that it's the Caltrans traffic light are still situated, right?
Yes.
And they haven't moved yet. Do you have any timeline for that? That's
Well,
the only
The
holdup.
project will be done right around July 20th is when the project will be done. So
Okay.
they'll be moved before then.
Because that's the only holdup right now in terms of
No, that's
completing.
not the only holdup. There's plenty of work that needs to be done still. So those lights, those poles will stay until we get
July
them.
until end of July or
They'll be out of the way when the project's completed at the end of July.
end of July. Okay, so we can basically tell our residents that please bear with us. That area will
That's
not
what
be
we've been-
totally cleared
That's what we've been
until
telling them for over a
until
year
end of
now.
July.
So, yeah.
Okay.
The reader boards have been up there since
Okay.
explaining the traffic situation there. Stay clear of it. So
Okay, very good.
lots of other options.
All right.
Thank you for the date change on the reader boards.
Yeah. Okay, with that, we'll adjourn this meeting to the next regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, June 24, 2019. This meeting is adjourned.